Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and for this gathering here tonight, for the opportunity to serve our city. We ask that you will guide us as we strive to build a city that is worthy of every citizen, and as we work to make decisions that will benefit all of us. Help us to listen with understanding and give us the wisdom to move our city in the direction of progress and prosperity. And Father, we pray for those that work for our city. We are truly grateful for their efforts and for their dedication. And watch over every one of us as we go about our daily lives. And may we feel your grace, strength, and peace throughout the days ahead. We ask all of these things in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any announcements?
Two.
You got two?
Yes.
Okay.
On March, Saturday, March the, hang on, let me get over here. March the 30th at noon, the city's Easter egg hunt will be in the city park. We're still asking for eggs and candy. You can drop them off here at City Hall, at the fire department, at the chamber, and at the police department.
What about the unfilled, just the egg, the plastic eggs?
Yeah, the egg and the candy.
So I got some of that at home. I was gonna bring
Okay,
that.
yeah, anybody that wants to drop them off,
Okay.
those, again, I'll say it again, the police department, fire department, city hall, and the chamber. So,
And we
and we
don't,
need lots of them because we have lots of kids. Last year we had over 5,000 eggs and they were gone in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest,
So,
events that we
yeah, it's
have.
huge. We have people
we
that
only do
come,
about 1,000 as of right now, it's very little.
okay,
Where you need more candy.
So
Yes, we do.
really need eggs a lot. now.
yeah.
The plastic eggs?
Yeah, all
I
of
think
it.
I've only got maybe a couple hundred, 200.
Our pile is not very big,
No,
Okay,
no,
not near as big as it needs
I
to be.
think
Yeah,
that,
And it's getting scary because it's getting closer.
you're right.
I think I have around 2,000 at our house, and he just said they had maybe 1,000 and some candy at the fire department, but we need a lot more than that, because this is 2 weeks away, so.
Okay.
If you want to contribute, please do that. And the other thing is on, and I know I keep telling you, reminding everybody of this, but on Monday, April the 8th, is the solar eclipse. And as I've said before, we are expecting a huge influx of people if it's a beautiful day, because I did do some little bit of research on this, and because we are one of the few lakes in the path of totality that we could have a huge presence out on our lake. So we need to make sure that if you're at a business or something, I'm gonna go this week and kind of give the businesses a head up on 276 to let them know, that there could be a lot of people here and maybe they wanna bump up their wait staff, their food, whatever, and we do need a police presence. I've heard from East Tawakoni that they will not be allowed, TxDOT will not allow them to stop on the bridge. They have to keep the traffic flow through there. So they cannot do that. And I know a lot of cities, RV parks, I know Fat Cat is doing something really big for this. So this is a huge deal. It's a once in a lifetime thing, and it will not happen over our area again until 23, 25 or something like that. So it truly is a rarity. And we are very fortunate that we're gonna get to do that. So tell everybody you know. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Mayor, it's not an announcement, but I got a little bit of a concern, so we need to at least talk about it. But we've got a really big crowd here, and I'm glad to see everybody. But unfortunately, our building is not very big. Our only exits are out the front of this building. Actually, Chief,
We opened up the other exit.
do you think it'd be a good idea to unblock that back door just in case the event of something happening? And then we could have that back door to where it can be exited. Now, I will warn everybody, if that happens, it is muddy out there because there's some work going on. So if you have to go out that back door in the event of emergency, please use caution because it is muddy. But my concern is we do have posted here in the council chambers or in this room that we're only supposed to have 26 people in here.
Right.
So I I just want to bring that up because if something were to happen, I don't want anybody hurt, right? And I don't know how we address that, but it just concerns me. I know I've seen everybody in here almost count the room before when we've had a crowd, so I don't know how we address that. I just wanted to voice my concern. I mean, when I walked in the door, I'm like, oh man, if something was to happen,
Yeah.
you know.
Do you want me to take a barrier off the back door? Shannon already said.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, but
Stay in front of the door right here, because I'm in the corner, and I promise you, you'll get out.
well, but in that event, somebody is hurt. That's the only thing that's my concern is I don't want anybody hurt or anything. I mean,
Well, with all the police and fire departments, any day it looks like we're in good hands.
we gotta make it out though. That's
Yeah.
the whole key. Without major injury, I don't want somebody to have to live with injury because we couldn't get out of the building in time.
All right, the next is citizens input, but what is it, no one has a problem with it. We have a young lady, Joanna Brown, with Central States Water Resources. Give her an opportunity to do her presentation, and then, she can certainly, she didn't live in town, so she can at least get back to her hotel at a decent hour. Is everybody all right with that?
You guys unfortunately.
Where is Joanna at? Raise your hand,
Oh, we're
Joanna.
gonna have to speak up.
And she also brought, City of Ferris's manager, city manager with her.
Okay.
I think I might have heard my name.
Hey, Joanna.
So you need a motion to move number 7 up to in front of number 5, correct?
That's correct.
So I make a motion, we move number 7 up in front of 5, and then we will continue to 5 after 7 is complete.
I'll second that. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Brown.
All in favor? Kevin Featherston?
Leon, aye.
Jack O'Connell.
Robin Myers.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous. Where'd she go again?
Right there.
Oh, there, that's okay. The floor is all yours, Joanna.
Okay, so thank
I'm
you
sorry we're so crowded. This is probably the biggest crowd I've ever seen.
so much. Well, I wish now I would have done something, I don't know, faster with my hair if we're going to be recorded. So in front of you, Councilmembers, you should have a slide deck. And I'm not a big believer in death by PowerPoint, but this 100% is a PowerPoint presentation. So what I thought I would do is tell you a little bit about who I am, who I represent, what we do, how we do it. And then if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those for you. Mayor, if that works for you, cadence-wise. I've also brought with me Brooks Williams as a reference to our company. All right, well, we can dive into it. So I am with Central States Water Resources. If you flip this first slide. Oh, man.
I was gonna say, it doesn't look
All
like
right, so
mine.
if you flip to this, that's terrible. All right, so if you flip to the first slide, this shows you our footprint. So Central States Water Resources is based out of St. Louis, Missouri. And if you look at this footprint, you can see that we are in 11 different states. In each state, we operate under a different utility operating company. For example, in Mississippi, we're known as Great River. In Louisiana, we're known as Magnolia Water. Super funny story is when we came to do business in the state of Texas, my CEO decided that he wanted to be known as the Yellow Rose of Texas. When he was in Dallas filling out his business license, the little girl behind the counter laughed. And he was like, man, what's so funny? And she's like, that is our finest strip club. We will always remember your name. So it caught him so off guard, the best he could come up with is CSWR Texas. So our name in Texas is CSWR Texas. This slide tells you that we are the 11th largest investor-owned utility in the nation. And what that means is our financial backing comes from New York. I don't know if it's smart to have this slide on here or not. These are essentially all of my competitors. And the difference between what my company is offering and what my competitors are offering is we are not publicly traded. So at the end of every year, we don't have shareholders we're trying to get a bottom dollar for. This next slide represents to you that we operate a little over 900 drinking water and wastewater systems. And so that's essentially what we're here to present on tonight. Is our company purchases drinking water and wastewater systems, and then we pair with strategic partners to run those systems. What I want to highlight on here is We are governed by the Public Service Commission, and so what that means is we are held to a higher standard than most entities in the industry because it is the Public Service Commission that dictates whether we are managerially, financially, or technically able to take on and run these systems. So if we decide that we wanted to acquire a system, we have to go before them and prove all three of those before we're allowed to take over acquisitions. This next slide shows you a little bit about our compliance history. What I want to highlight on this slide specifically is that our company voluntarily tests all of the drinking water systems for PFOS and PFOA. If you're not intimately familiar with those forever chemicals, I'm happy to stay afterwards and answer some of your questions. I myself am a dual certified operator and super happy to nerd out on those for a second. The next slide, there's got to be a better way of saying this, but essentially we are a receiver of receiverships. And so what that means is when we acquire systems, we have formed great relationships with the EPA, with the DEQs, with the TCEQs here in this particular area. So if a private entity or a municipality was having some catastrophic issues, the state calls us first to come in and take over and run those systems. The next slide talks a little bit about healthy communities. 10,000-foot view on this is, as of today, we have a little over 75 employees that work for us. So we do all of the billing, all of the customer service, and operate all of the systems. The next one talks a little bit about the customer experience. So what we have here is essentially our customer service works 24/7, so 365. What we're demonstrating here is that we are on Nextdoor, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We send out customer education along the lines of can degrees, flushable wipes are flushable, but they're terrible for our systems, as well as the conservation of water. The next slide shows the customer journey, and essentially what this details is that because we are governed by the Public Service Commission, we record every phone call that comes in to either be able to track or to true up. So if a customer has a complaint about the quality of their water, the pressure of their water, the cost of their water, they call the Public Service Commission, and the Public Service Commission enters a case against us, and we have so many hours, I think it's 72, to be able to prove or true up our stance on it, right? So if a customer says that they've called 14 times and we have not been responsive, we're able to go in and pull that phone number and do a linear line of every time that person has called and whether we've answered or haven't answered it, so on and so forth. If a customer says that they called in and our representative was rude with them on the phone, we're able to play those calls as well for learning opportunities, right? What you are looking at here, a picture is where, I'm so sorry, I have your slide deck. FedEx failed me. So what you're looking at here is Majestic Lakes. And so what's interesting about Majestic Lakes is this is just a wastewater system. The quality of the wastewater they were discharging was polluting the receiving stream so violently that they issued a moratorium on this area. And what that means when they issue a moratorium is that if you owned a house in this area, you could not sell your house. If you wanted to buy in this area, you could not buy in this area. And if you were late on paying your water bill and they shut it off, you couldn't have your water turned back on. So within 6 months of acquiring this system, we were able to bring it back into compliance and lift the moratorium. And to date, the community has tripled in size. The next slide is Gust Island water system. So what you see, and I'm so sorry I don't have enough of these, the right ones to pass out. So what you see in this one, this is manganese that's in this gentleman's hand. And so manganese is a naturally occurring organic in the water. Sometimes when you drill a well, you can hit a hotbed of manganese. So that's essentially what happened at Gust Island. So this well is 2,500 feet deep. They hit manganese, and when you go to disinfect the water to kill the microbes, it oxidizes with the manganese, turning the water a lovely yellow or a rusty red color. So this was such a cool project. So you may have heard of Culligan before, the drinking water people. So we were able to pair with them, and they built these bright green media sand filtration units for us, which kind of look like little blue minions. And so the way that filtration works is it binds with the manganese, pulling it out of the water so that essentially you're able to disinfect it without discoloring the water. Super cool project. But enough about just what we do company overall. The next slide shows you our footprint in the state of Texas. So as of the date of this slide, we have 119 water systems, 18 wastewater systems at the end of last year. We have another roughly 15 systems in front of the Public Service Commission. And we are the emergency operator for 8 systems in the state of Texas. The next slide shows you a snapshot of these systems, right? So I've got it listed by county, the name of the system, and whether it's a drinking water system or a wastewater system. The next slide talks to you a little bit about some of our strategic partners. One of which is High Tide. So we utilize High Tide, which is essentially our SCADA system. So that SCADA system tracks all of the lift stations, booster stations, the drinking water system, the wastewater system, the pressure in the lines, so that we know before a phone call ever comes in that the system is experiencing issues, right? Let's keep going. So why would a municipality even be interested in selling a drinking water or wastewater system? So the number one reason is the liability. If you have a history of non-compliance, when you go to renew your permit, the state's going to say you've been contaminating the nation's waters for so many years. We're going to fine you $50,000, $60,000 and make you fix the system, which is, we all know, with the state of this city's system, we're starting at roughly $1 million, $1.5 million, right, to start moving in that general direction. When we acquire a system, we become a business in the city, and so we pay into the city. And then we also would be a partner with the city. So when the city comes down to do their capital planning, either it be 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year capital plans, we want a seat at the table to be able to walk in lockstep with you. So if you decide on the northeastern part of town is where you want to start doing a mill and overlay, we'll walk in lockstep with you and start replacing lines over there as well. You're almost done, I promise, you're surviving it. So the ongoing commitment to CSWR Texas was 51 million was committed. We were able to get 30 million in the ground as of the end of last year. COVID didn't do us any favors regards with, I think they call it maturing out components and parts. And so we try to be fiscally responsible with our systems. We don't want to come in and drop in a brand new drinking water plant. We want to look and see what we have to work with, and maybe it just needs bits and pieces done to it. Some instances you need a whole new wastewater treatment plant, which I think might be the case of the city. But this essentially gives you a snapshot of the financials that we put into the state of Texas, what's been committed. That 51 million is committed and will continue to be put in until we hit that mark. And I apologize, I do not have any idea what the budget is for 2024 to commit to the state. And then the last slide is just sheer propaganda. This is from the National Association of Water Companies that talks about the importance of being a regulated water company and the benefits of being a regulated water company. Mayor, if you don't care, I brought with me Brooks Williams, who is the city manager, to speak on behalf of the city of Ferris, which is 20 minutes from downtown Dallas. We were able to partner with Ferris last year, and I brought him to speak for just a second about why they made the decision that they made, how they were able to make the decision that they made. And he's happy to answer any questions, as am I, after he talks for just a second.
Mayor, Council, thank you. Just a few comments, and then again, if you've got questions on how it's been from a city's perspective to work with CSWR, I'm happy to answer them. For us, and I'm guessing the folks in the room, right, I'm looking at it from the city's perspective, and when they reached out, the first thing I heard was investor owned, right? And so my ears immediately perked up, and I laughed and blew off, Joanna, if I'm being perfectly honest, because investor owned to me means profit, which means you're going to raise my rates, which means my customers are going to be even more upset with me than they already are for our rate structure. But as we dug into it and looked and found that what they do is a little bit different. They're on a statewide rate modeling plan. So whereas if you've got 2,000 people in a community, you're spreading the cost of that water system out across 2,000 people. they're spreading the cost of that system across everybody in the state. So our rate structure actually went down, not significantly, but it went down, which is a positive thing for us. And then the other thing I wanted to look at was quality. So for residents, citizens, it's cost and quality. That's really what they care about. What's it going to cost me, and is the water I'm getting quality water? And do my toilets flush, right? Does it work right, or are the lift stations not working properly? We're a city of lift stations. I've got 11 lift stations in my city, and it's a disaster for us. And we put $7.5 million worth of infrastructure into the ground over the last 3.5 years. I got to Ferris 5 years ago, and I arrived 2 weeks after our third water outage that had lasted multiple days. And so to say my citizenry was done is an understatement, but they were. And so partnering with CSWR, what we've been able to do is halt putting that money into the ground, because what we know is $7.5 million over my population is a significant tax increase on the INS side. So when we partnered with CSWR, we paid off every bit of debt we had, lowered our tax rate by 35%, which is considerable for us. We now have the lowest tax rate in Ellis County of any full-service city, specifically because of this project with them. We were not in the ditch, if you will, as far as TCEQ violations, but we certainly didn't want to get there. And debt is becoming a necessity on water and wastewater systems. It's not getting any cheaper. Our master planning that we had done on the water and wastewater side 6 years ago was $3.5 million. When we executed it, as I told you, it was over $7.5 million. And that's continuing to rise. If we were to do those projects today, it'd be over $9.5 million because of inflation and everything else that has gone on. It's a never-ending battle when it comes to water and wastewater. And for smaller communities, it'll cripple you over the long term. And so for us, this was a strategic decision from a financial perspective, and because we're getting better quality out of it. Something that's very big for us, I don't come from a government background. I came from the private background, got into government, was customer service. We don't call our citizens, we call them customers. We believe we're providing a service to them, and we should provide good quality customer service. And so this was important, right? We have service level agreements with our customers. When they call and report an issue, it's a time to serve. We track it. We know what that was. That was a big question for them. Are you going to be able to maintain our service level agreements with our customers? We've walked hand in hand with them as we've gone through this transition. And I'll say, I'm embarrassed to say they're better at it than we are. Spent some time in St. Louis looking at what I call their command center. And when she talked about the SCADA system, they know there's problems before the problem exists, which is a change for small communities, right? We're reactive. The line bursts, we're responding. They know that the line needs preventative maintenance before it even gets to that point. So there's a lot of positives that come with this. When you talk about SCADA systems, do y'all have a SCADA system?
Yes.
We do.
I don't know if you are aware, about a month ago, the FBI director came out and said one of the #1 targets for foreign entities now is SCADA systems. And so for us, again, very uncomfortable. We're glad that we're not the ones dealing with that when they've got a room full of nerds, no offense, that work on the IT side of it and they can handle that. And for smaller cities, that's a challenge, right? We employ one IT person. And how does that person keep up with it along with the other critical infrastructure needs that we've got in the city? So for us, it wasn't a decision that we just have to get out of it because we're buried. It was financially long-term. What's this going to do for our community? When you can get rid of your need to issue debt, you're considerably improving the future of your community. And if you look at where debt comes from in cities right now, on the INS side, it is almost 100% water and wastewater. That's where it's going. And so we have removed the need for us to issue that debt moving forward, and we've improved our overall water quality for our customers. So that's what drove us to Central States. I'm happy to answer.
Did you retain the same people you had in those roles?
So we retained, are you talking about from a staff perspective?
Yes, sir.
So when I got there, we had 13 people in public works for a small community. We had reduced that over time and outsourced a lot of our work because there's a couple of issues, right? Operators are hard to find. Number one, you pay them more money and go get them trained, and then somebody else offers them a little more money, and so you've got a constant revolving door of operators that you've got to keep up with. So we outsourced a good portion of that. They did take on some of those partnerships that we had already outsourced because they were local, they knew them, they had the history of the system, and so they kept them employed. What we did also was made a deal with those operators that anybody we had remaining in public works, we asked them to hire them as a part of this agreement when that transitioned over so that they had employment. One of the things we take very seriously is our employees, right? We're a small community. Displacing an employee is not our goal, and we certainly didn't want to do that. So we were just intentional and said, hey, we're selling our system. Here's what it's going to look like. They're going to work with you as a contractor. Will you hire these employees? And the operator was more than willing to do that for us.
Do those people still work there?
They do.
So now that's your field personnel. What about office personnel? What did it do to that side of it?
So we had a utility billing clerk. We just had one utility billing clerk, and we kept that person on in a different role. We transitioned them into a different role.
What was the biggest challenge you had whenever you first agreed and had the first big powwow? All right, let's set a game plan and all that. Did you encourage?
Respectfully, what's the biggest challenge we had? Community. It's misconceptions. It is. You hear investor-owned utility. Cities, government is built on protect the kingdom, right? This is ours. We own it. We defend it at all costs. But the reality is, I think it's our job to kind of step back and say, what's in the best interest of our citizens, right? And again, we go back to quality and cost. And so it was an education process of walking through, what does this mean? How's it going to impact you? Let's have open conversations and get it out there and dispel any rumors that there may be. And that's when everything really started to hum for us. But we couldn't hide from it. I knew if we did it under the cloak of darkness, that would just create more problems.
Well, we would be very interested in maintaining the crew that we got, because they're the most knowledgeable. We've got one guy that knows where every tap, every line. I mean, he knows at the back of his head. He's got the whole city down.
And there's a process for that. They partnered with us as we went through it and started to glean some of that institutional knowledge that we had. And they start to document it, which is a great thing, right? Because of what you just said, we've got people that it's all up here.
Right.
And what if you get hit by the beer truck? Then where does it go? Right? What are we going to do then? That was always a concern for us. And so now it's on paper. We've got it documented. And there's now, that institutional knowledge is transcribed.
How big is Ferris nowadays?
We're about 6,000 people inside city limits. Our service area is about 18,000.
General law or home
We stay general law. You get me on political, man.
No,
The
yeah.
legislature hasn't done us any
I'm just
favors.
trying to ask all the different questions, because I'm gonna have questions afterwards.
When I got there, we were about 2,000. We've grown over the last 4.5 years by that amount. And so it's been pretty impressive for us. We've grown more in the last 4 years than we had in the last 25 combined.
Okay.
But this is an example. We have a housing development we just approved for 1,527 houses to be built master plan community that we would not have been able to do had we not partnered with them. Why? You're talking $2.5 million in water infrastructure between an elevated tank and the lines that have to be run, the raw water rights that we've got to go through TRWD for to get. Just raw water rights today for us would have cost us over $1 million. And so you start looking at now your bonding again, now you're financing that growth.
The people that you did retain, you have them at X amount of dollars per hour payroll. Were you able to go up, down, or I mean?
They got better pay from the provider than they got from us. And we did that also in our streets department, because streets have become a pretty detailed scope of work, right? And the equipment you have to have and the training. And so we outsourced our street portion of it too and did the exact same thing. Went to the contractors that we were utilizing and said, would you please hire them? And they hired them on at a higher rate than we were paying. Same thing in the water sewer side.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On this customer journey, the customer service journey, what is your average or approximate turnaround time from start to finish once this customer files a request inquiry until it's resolved?
It's less than 45 minutes that they make contact with the customer. So they're required, when they get a call, to go and make contact with the customer and say, I'm here on this issue. I'm going to be looking into it and I'll let you know what the issue is. Because as sometimes it's on the customer side, sometimes it's on our side. We get the call and issue.
Are you willing to divulge who the company is that you contracted or that they, I guess you could say, subbed out?
Sure.
For us to know, a little bit about what we would have to do or in order to do. I mean, is there somebody local that we can use, or do you recommend someone?
We use somebody local to us. If there's somebody you use local to you, I think that you absolutely
Are they
want to
commercial?
do that.
They have to be commercial, commercial grade
Correct.
repairs and
Yes, ma'am.
maintenance.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to make sure we all understand, he does not work for CSWR.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
So did you have a referendum?
We didn't. So when you're looking at the standards in the state as far as what you can do. You can go out and have a referendum if that's what you want to do. But because the state looks at water as critical infrastructure, if managerial, technical, or financially, you are saying it is impossible for you to continue to maintain the system, if you can meet one of those three prongs, then you do not have to go out for a referendum. And so we were able to prove with the amount of debt we were having to issue, the turnover in staff, that technically and financially, we met two of the three prongs, that we did not need to maintain the system anymore.
So, I mean, in the event that we end up having to add a couple more people or whatever to the public works, where are they gonna fall in at as far, like right now, these guys get free insurance, which is about we pay $1,000 a month per employee.
Pretty close.
Okay, so basically $1,000 per head.
Sure.
For insurance, so they don't pay any of that, only for the family coverage if they do. And also, they're each contributing to TMRS. This goes into effect, they've lost that fail safe, what did y'all do about, was this worked out in the discussions? Or?
We talked about it. We had a couple of our employees that had already met the TMRS threshold for retirement, so they retired and then went to work for the company, so they're drawing retirement plus now having a salary. There were some that didn't, but that was the trade-off that they made, was to remain employed, right? And this may sound harsh to say, but while we wanted to be extremely cognizant of what we were doing and not hurting anybody necessarily, at the same time, we would not have allowed one thing with an employee to keep us from doing what we had to do for the betterment of the city overall.
My main concern, like I say, is again, the personnel and their pay and vacation and all that. That's a big concern for me.
I think you approach it fairly. I'll be very transparent. I don't know what the financial situation is. I think that you can certainly approach that, though, in a way that you maintain the dignity and respect of each person that you're dealing with, whether that's you pay out the PTO and a little bit more, whether that's, again, you ensure that they are employed with one of the contractors, and that contractor matches at least what they're getting here. I think there's ways, and that's all part of the negotiation, right? And I know CSWR would be more than willing to engage in that conversation.
Another, you may not be able to answer this one, maybe more of a question for Joanna. What do we do after, when we sign this up? Do we not have any, we don't have any contact, we have a contact with the public works, but is there any interaction or anything, or are they just do their own? And more importantly, maybe one for you, there's gotta be somebody that's like a superintendent, so to speak, that's over or oversees training or whatever it might be outside of the city, somebody from the outside to coming in. I don't want anybody coming in and just dogging the heck out of us. You don't have enough tissue, you don't have this, you don't have that, we don't want that. But there's gotta be somebody that is over all of these plants to kind of manage and see what the problems are, identify the problems, and then identify the solution.
Correct.
How does that work?
You want to go for it? You want me
I was like, I came all the way here, bro.
Go, you talk.
Oh, yeah, he's local.
I know, right? Well, he's the expert right now.
Yeah.
So we do. So we have a regional manager that will come to either the monthly meetings with the council, or quarterly, or if you want that to be biannually, it's whatever cadence you'd like to set. But with regards to who comes in and does, the look and the evaluation, we have an entire team that comes in and looks at it. And make no mistake, we're not coming in flipping the tables and be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. We're partners in this, right? There's no malice on either side of how we got here or why we showed up. We want you to continue to grow and for this to be a prime destination spot for individuals outside of Dallas, the same as Ferris is going to be. So we have engineers that will come in and do an evaluation on the system. We'll sit down with your staff, and if you've outsourced engineering studies, we'd like copies of those, right? To be able to sit down and look, this is where you think the critical needs are. Let's look and see what we think the critical needs are. And like I said, be partners to come to the table where we're walking in lockstep. If you know that there's a development that's coming, or that Tyson Foods has reached out to you and they want to put a chicken rendering plant, on the southeast side of town, and the city decides, this is what we want to do, this is the business that we want, we're partners with you in that. Let's come to the table and see how we can bring that to fruition.
It was a conversation as we went through. There were things that we knew we needed to shore up, and we were transparent about it. When we met with their customer experience team, one of the things I broke out was, yeah, but my customers don't have to call. They can just click on our app right here. They can just click start request, take a picture of the issue. It geolocates them and they hit submit, and we respond within 45 minutes. I don't want my customers to have to call. They don't like it. And so for them, it was, well, we can't do that, but let's figure out how to integrate what you have into our system. So it was a definite partnership in, we don't want to give these things up. What can you guys do to bring it on board? Along with us acknowledging there's some things we need to improve.
Are your meters manual or digital?
They're digital.
Okay. Is that something that you obtained before or after?
I did it about 6 months after I got there.
Okay. Okay. That's a big cost.
It is. It was about when we did it, about $350,000 to change out all the meters.
For how many, you remember?
At that time, it was probably about 1,100 meter heads at that time.
Where are you at now, you think?
You said how much per?
350,000 total.
350? Okay.
What do you think you're at on meters now?
1,600, pushing 1,600.
How many square miles is your city?
Our, only 4.2 square miles.
Oh, they're not much bigger than
What's your time? What was the timeline?
It was about 18 months.
that. From agreement to transition?
Yes, sir.
Through the transition?
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Ms. Brown,
Sure.
and I guess this may be just more of a council question. But I was just curious because we were given a bid price, and I'm not going to divulge what that is. However, I'd like to know, how was that evaluation set? Did you do it with comps from other cities or other communities or that are surrounding us? How do you come to the evaluation that you quoted us?
So I came to the evaluation, so we sat down and started having discussions on the state of the city. I think it was January of last year was the first time that we reached out. I think we did a conference call in March of last year. So I took the information that the mayor and Kevin, I think, were able to provide at that point in time on just the general state of the system. And then I went on to the Safe Drinking Water Act and ECHO, which are both public entities to where they report on water quality stats, right? To look and see what's truly going on with the water system, if you need the upgrades, what the violations look like. So I take all of that data, and Google Earth does a fantastic job. I can go through your city and look at your streets to see where cuts have been made and where cuts have not been made, just to have an idea maintenance-wise, and your budget's on there as well. So I gathered all of that information and I put it into my pro forma for the state of Texas. And what I put together is what I know with the limited information that my company can afford to pay for the system, knowing that we're going to have to do X, Y, and Z upgrades and what that dollar amount is going to cost. So all of that is bundled together and put into the pro forma, and the pro forma spits out what I can pay for your system with what I'm trying to do for the state of Texas. So if we go into active negotiations and you tell me you want $55 million for your system, that does not work in my pro forma, because I have to take that $55 million and I have to spread the cost of that along with the upgrades over the 55,000 customers that I have in the state of Texas. I don't have any interest in raising rates any higher than what they need to be able to cover the expenditures, right? Which is how we as a company have been able to be so successful, is the economies of scale. I have over 900 drinking water and wastewater plants. When I go to buy meters, I'm not buying 200 meters. I'm not buying 1,000 meters. I'm buying them in swaths of 15,000. I've got contracts with Badger, Neptune, Census. We get the best rates. The same thing when I'm purchasing pipe, the same thing when I'm purchasing chemicals. I think looking at your budget, you've seen 140% increase in your chemicals over the last 2 years. When I go into negotiations with our suppliers on where we're going to buy and where we're going to be at, I get the best rates. And because we get those great rates, we pass on that fiscal responsibility and changes to our customers. Hopefully that answered your question. So
you'll also get 3 appraisals as you go through the process. We did. So you'll get to review those as well to compare against that number that you were given, so that you have something to base it off.
Well, I mean, right now as it stands, nobody's walked the plants, right? Nobody's, I mean, I'm sure there's been some travel or, Google Earth, whatever. But I mean, this is from afar. I mean, literally. Nobody's walked the plants. And I think when you first asked about this and I was brought into the conversations, we didn't have a SCADA system. We were talking about, we're just now getting it up and running. So that was something that wasn't even in place. We had an old one that hadn't worked for a while. So, I mean, all those things, like you said, if they're gonna be going in and looking, going, oh, well, y'all just replaced all these valves and y'all put all this SCADA in here and y'all done this and done this, well, that makes the price tag go up.
Well, it does, but also keep in mind that I'm not paying you replacement value of the system.
No, right.
I'm paying for the original cost less depreciation is essentially what they go in and do when they do evaluations of these systems to see if what we're offering you is fair and reasonable.
Exactly.
You shared a rough estimate or a rough proposal. Is that something that we can share? And I know it's just a number, but how solid is the number that you gave us and what we would realize from the sale of the water sewer?
Well, so when I went into my pro forma, I put in the absolute worst case scenario that I was going to have to go in and replace 75% of absolutely everything that you have here. So that number is good today. That number is good
That
6
same number
months
you
from
given
now.
us? Folks, we're talking about $6.2 million. That doesn't appear right.
But that pays off your debt and that takes away the liability and it takes you out of the water business altogether. But that is a first offer. We're open to negotiations.
Is
I
it
would love to
negotiable?
walk. Absolutely. I mean, like, we are open to have those conversations. I would love to be able to walk the plants.
Folks, everybody realizes that it was something that we were looking at or whatever. It got to the point to where it needed to come before the citizens and before the council. So we've kind of vetted a lot of this stuff. I spoke with one other customer that you got. I don't remember his name, but I want to say Patterson. He had told me that it was a real smooth transition. I don't have any plants or whatever he has, but he has a lot up around the Denton area, if I understand. And I talked to him about the bonuses, and savings and all that. And he told me that last year before last, every one of his employees, which are, the field employees, received $3,000 to $5,000 in bonuses.
Patterson is a private entity, so when we talked earlier about running these systems, we have strategic partners in each of the states that we operate in. And so we'll deal with anywhere from 3 to 5 strategic partners. And just like a city, it's a bid process. So we put together a packet of information on what our expectations are after we sat down with the city, like we did with the city of Ferris. Tell me what it is that you have to have, and let's put together these specs along with what level of service we're committed to bring. And then we put together a package and set it out for bid. And it is not the lowest bidder that gets it, it's the most qualified bidder. So we require our field staff to have boots on the ground, breaking ground within an hour.
And just so you know, this is not just you and CSWR. The Public Utility Commission is involved in this every step of the way, and they're looking out for your benefit, not necessarily their benefit.
Right. Well, I understand PUC, whenever I'm just unrelated to this, but they only get involved with the out-of-city customers that are in the, they're in our wheelhouse. And we start, how many meters, Michael, where you at? Oh, I'm sorry. How many do we have on the out of city side, outside city limits? Couple of hundred?
A few hundred.
Okay.
Of the many of the communities and what have you, cities that you have purchased their systems, what is your longevity right there? Have you gone in and stayed for 2 or 3 years and then sold, or have you remained there for the long haul?
Everything that we have purchased, we still own today.
You do.
Yeah, everything that we purchased, we still own today.
Okay.
Conversation that we had with the Public Utility Commission, just so you're aware, also is, let's say they purchase us in 2 years, they go defunct and they're out of business, what happens? You can't not have a system operate. So the PUC essentially said they would take the system into receivership and turn it back over to us. So worst case scenario, we've got a system back that we got millions of dollars for and we're running it again. Not in any worse shape than you are. But we went through, met with their CFO, went through financials, and again, everybody was comfortable with it.
Yeah. And just to speak to the citizens and council, $6 million would do a lot in the city. Our biggest problem right now, and I hope everybody agrees with me, is roads. Is it not? Or is there something else that I'm not thinking of? Anything. I'm thinking roads. I'm thinking $6 million ought to be almost do all the roads. I mean, that's a lot of money. Plus, we would be able to do drainage. That's the biggest problem is drainage, which affects the roads and everything. And that'd be our concern, is being able to divert that water somewhere away from the roads, out of the ditches. We have ditches that stay full in July. You know, it's pretty bad. But those are one of the things that I came across. Is there anybody else?
Can I just ask, how long has the company itself existed?
We just entered into our 10th year.
Okay.
I kind of have one more thing, and it's really more of a comment. But when some of our citizens saw this on our agenda, of course, like you said, they automatically think our rates are gonna go up. Well, I didn't know what to tell them, so, because we do have our community is a retirement city mostly. We have a lot of elderly that live here. We have a lot of people that are retirement age. We have a lot of people that have vacation homes here. And so they're very concerned about their rates going up. And there was on a sentence in one of these paragraphs in these booklets that said you would not see an immediate rate increase. And they're all asking me, you know, what does that mean? Are my rates going to go up again? Because we just raised our rates not too long ago. So they want to know, you know, what's going to happen with this, because we have some that are in situations, and I have some people sitting in the audience who actually manage a mobile home park here, who their residents there are on extremely fixed incomes. I mean, if their rates go up again, it's going to be a decision between groceries, medicine, or paying their water bills. So I know you have payment plans, but are you willing to work with them if they struggle, or if they're struggling with paying their bills?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, so we have just under 500,000 customers in 11 different states. So what I will tell you is that we own and operate the system for 1 to 3 years. So we absorb your rate. You'll continue your rate for 1 to 3 years. We will run the system, we'll invest in the system, and essentially what happens is we committed $51 million to the state last year. So we'll spend that $51 million, we'll spend another $50 million this year. In 2 to 3 years, because we just went through a rate case with the PUCT, we'll go back before them with every single receipt of every dime that we've put into the state, and the PUCT dictates what that rate is going to be. I don't pick the rate. My company doesn't pick the rate. We suggest what we would like to have, and the Public Service Commission goes through every single one of those receipts with a fine-tooth comb. Joanna, we noticed that you live off of beef jerky and vitamin water. We don't feel like the residents should have to pay for that, and so they throw those receipts out. Ms. Brown, we noticed that you decided to purchase a Flight pump when a Gould pump works just as well. Is there a reason why you picked the Louis Vuitton of pumps? Well, as a professional water company, you should have Gould pumps on a shelf somewhere. The residents aren't going to pay for that, and they throw out the expense of that pump essentially. So that's what we go through. It's a trial essentially. You get up on a stand and you testify as to the decisions that you made, why you made them. Did you have 3 bids before you move forward? And if we fumble on any one of those, the Public Service Commission throws out that cost.
Have your increases ever been denied?
Have our increases ever been denied? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we went in, I think this last rate case, and we asked for $48 for sewer and for water. We were denied. We got $43. But as Brooks talked about earlier, that's a statewide rate.
My understanding from one of the people I talked with, I could have misconstrued this, but I think what I understood was you guys don't monitor the rates plant by plant. The way he explained it is that y'all take the totality of it. You know, if we're increased, every other plant's increased. If we decrease, it's the same way. That they go by PUC and they, like I say, they're the one, you're the ones that sets the rate. That everybody's paying the same rate, whether it's here, Ferris, or whatever. What are your water rates right now?
Well, for example, she just said 43 is what they got approved for. We were at 45, so we went down to $2.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Whereas we were on a 5-year plan of consistent increases after our rate study for the next 5 years, we were gonna be going up
Right,
and not by small amounts.
right.
So
I
there's a
would give
system.
it, you.
That's what I was going to say. We've been going at this for a while.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few city employees here tonight,
Sorry.
in, as far as presence. And I would like to know if any of y'all have questions. I mean, I would like for somebody that's employed at the city of West Tawakoni to ask a question, please.
You go first.
So on the response time on the leaks, where are like if you get a call for a water main breakout here in the front, where are they coming from?
So we require those strategic partners to have boots on the ground in an hour. So he has to live or she has to live within a 1 hour radius of here to have boots on in field with shovel, 1 hour.
But we'll already have a crew. I mean, the way I'm understanding it,
Right.
we'll have the same people. None of that will change. I'm sure they would go in there at least cap it, turn it off or whatever
No,
until someone gets interfered.
That's not how I understand it. If I'm answering for you incorrectly, these people would go to work for, let's say, ABC Waterworks Company, right? ABC Waterworks Company might actually they may do work for the city of Greenville as a contractor. They may do work for Cash, stuff that all these other people, maybe they can't handle or they're overran by work. They could be working in Rowlett, right? So, no, they wouldn't come here every day.
No.
They wouldn't be here every day. You're probably gonna have an operator here, I guess. I mean, there's gonna have to be an operator here. I mean, the
Right,
plant
so
has
the
to be,
drinking water and the wastewater system.
right, they have to be manned. But as far as the distribution, am I saying that
Yeah,
right, Michael?
distribution.
As far as the distribution side of it, that would be, if there's a leak, what you're saying is we would have a shovel in the ground within an hour.
That's right.
And, I mean,
But it's not gonna be your people, it's gonna be a contractor.
That's right.
Right.
Like combined consumer.
Will you?
Well, no, they're a CMP.
But make no mistake, if you have employees, I mean, we talked about that institutional knowledge. I would like to make them a written offer of employment, but I also don't want to strap the city. Because a lot of times the guy that's able to run the backhoe is not just running the backhoe for the water and the sewer line. He's running it for the field crew. Maybe he's running it for the cemetery. Maybe he moonlights and does some other things. So I don't want to strap you, but make no mistake. This is institutional knowledge that I would love to have. So if you ask me if I'm going to have a guy that lives here, come on.
Right, but he's not gonna work for you, he's gonna work for a contractor.
That's right. He works
Right,
for a
so
strategic
let's be
partner.
clear about that. They're not gonna work for you in any capacity. My question would be, let's say they've all had a class, but they haven't taken their test yet. Let's say there's one person here who holds all the license and is training this entire crew. They're ready to go test, but they don't have the license yet. What do you do about those people?
Well, so we'll talk about strategic partners for just a second. So the strategic partners are not using their own platforms. They're using my proprietary platforms, right? So I built out, I'm sorry, what?
So like, for instance, we started with VT SCADA.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys use something completely different. Are you going to come in and now remove VT SCADA and bring it online for what you guys use?
Right, so we use high type, and so we'll pull out those PLC logic cards and swap them out with your unit. So it's a card that's swapped out. It isn't the change out of an entire unit.
So how can you ask a contractor per se to hire, how can you require them to hire anyone that's already in the crew? If it's a private contractor, they're gonna already have their crew. I mean, if we're being honest with everyone. So if they already have their crew, then what happens to the people that are here if they don't need them?
Well, so that's part of our agreement with our contractors, right?
So you're gonna have an agreement with the contractor that says, hey, you can't let these people go. We want you to keep them for 5 years. And they have to abide by that 5-year
Look this
contract.
way.
Yes.
Okay, well,
Well, I
Well,
right,
think the
From the
key
city
that-
side, that was a huge thing for us. It was
Right.
very
Me too.
important to us.
I think the key
So
that
that
we
was a
all need to think
non-negotiable.
about is this, right? Our system, even in 10 years, if you were to come in here and you were to pour, let's call it 5 million a year, 50 million over 10 years into our city. By the time you got to the 5th year of your 5 million, what you spent 5 million on in the first year, you're gonna start seeing problems because of the ground breaking or whatever's going on. This is a revolving cycle, guys. And
Right.
the pipes break, the pipes this, or we come up with, they started doing testing and they go, oh crap, this pipe is not supposed to be used anymore, right? We went through that. So, but the big point, and I understand what you're saying, and I wanna make sure that the way I understand this, and if y'all were to buy this system still has to have people to work on it. It has to have somebody here within an hour. Obviously, your contractors that you've already got strategic, setups with, they're not gonna have enough people to add a whole other system to them to be here in our dirt within 1 hour. So they're gonna have to add people to their crews.
So we didn't get to 900 systems by fumbling it,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And so when we enter into a purchase agreement, which is essentially what you sign, which is a commitment that says, you work with us, we work with you, we share that information, we start to build this plan together. When we build that plan together, it immediately goes out to bid to the contractors. Now, here in the state of Texas, we have 5 that I have been wickedly impressed with, that I cherry picked myself, because as a dual certified operator, there's only a handful of people I'm willing to work for, right?
yeah, I'm a dual
And these are
operator.
the guys that I'm happy to work for, right? They're safe, they're reliable, they pay their people on time, they give great bonuses, they've got fantastic benefits, so that I can come into committee meetings like this and speak definitively. These are people I would work for, hands down. You talk to Mark Patterson. Mark Patterson is one of the contractors that we use. Patterson would love to be able to bid on this system. Patterson is begging to bid on the Ferris system. Ferris has got a few special things going on with their system, to where I've had conversations with Jacobs, I'm in conversations with Veolia, and these are huge entities to where they parachute in system operators to be able to run, which is why I would love to be able to have the guys that have the institutional knowledge. If I can't have them, we're gonna have those conversations. You're gonna tell me I can't have them. I now can go out and have additional conversations that this is the day that we close. This is our game plan. You have to give me this number of people. Are you able to meet that demand or not? We've got 3 guys from the cities. You're going to employ these guys and you're going to give them an opportunity, right? And I'll be honest with you, some people make the cut and some people don't.
It's been my experience that typically in a situation like this, that most of them don't make the cut. If we're being honest, most of them don't make the cut. Usually the ones that make the cut are ones that are dual operators, that are BNAs. You can get some Cs in there, but it's very rare that you're gonna pick up a D. They don't have the experience that a C, B, and an A have. So what I'm asking for is just the total honesty. So, but I have another part to that question. So what about your accounts payable here that we have, your accounts receivable, your water clerk? We can't transition all 3 of those people. So we're gonna have to part ways with them because you have all those things, correct?
So what COVID did was a fantastic job of showing big corporations and small corporations, we didn't have to have bodies in a seat in an office building, right? People are able to work remotely successfully.
Sure.
So we take all of the billing, all the customer service in-house, and our customer service center has extended offers to staff that want to be able to work for that strategic partner that runs the call center.
What would you say the percentage or the chance of that happening with our current staff would be? And again, we're just trying to get honest answers.
Right. Well, so what we did for the city of Paris is, so anyone that's interested in that, gets a written offer letter, right, so that they know they have options.
Right.
Out of the written offer letters that we've produced, I think we've had one lawyer that didn't want to come work for us. We had another CFO that didn't want to come work for us or work for our strategic partners. There's only been a handful of individuals that have passed on the opportunity. Because the reality is on the private side, we just pay so much more. We just pay
That
so
is absolutely true, and because I also have some contract plans outside the city, so I know the private side pays better. But with that being said, so here's a scenario for you. We're on a peninsula. Our highest point in this entire city is right here at the 2 mile bridge, or the 2 mile, or excuse me, 276. With that being said, our ground shifts twice a year, and it shifts hard. So there are times where we have multiple leaks happening at the same time. How do you address that situation?
So it's normally up to the operations partner, but one of the things that they're required to produce for us when they're bidding on a system such as Ferris or such as the city, they would have to produce for us those additional contract operators, right? So if you've got 12-inch water lines, Patterson isn't qualified to work on a 12-inch water line. You've got to call in, what is it DPE in this area over on Dallas? I think it's DPE. So they're a huge contractor that comes in that's able to work on a pressurized 12-inch line. So that's how we set that up, right? So if Patterson doesn't drill wells, he works with a contractor that's what they specialize in. They specialize in drilling a well. The exact same thing with the size of the pipe.
Well, it's kind of my point to contractors. Contractors didn't start buying small systems without already having a team in place. And yes, it is common for them to add some people along the way, but it's very rare that you can absorb the entire team.
I agree.
And I feel like making the statement that, oh, well, we can guarantee everyone's going to keep their job is not realistic. I don't think that's all.
I'm telling you from a city perspective.
Oh, yeah.
This is part of the negotiation process.
I think it's
Yeah.
also fair to say that
Oh,
this
oh,
is
yeah.
just the beginning of a conversation. It doesn't mean that we're signing a contract.
Right.
It doesn't mean we're going into business with them. At
Exactly.
any point, if it does not fit, we have it in our power to walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't, honestly,
so,
guys,
yeah.
I didn't believe tonight was the right night because I've got 173 questions to ask.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll be honest, I planned on making a motion for us to either set up a public hearing or a workshop or something and have her back. And this is probably gonna end up being one of a few
Yes.
public hearings. I want to thank you very much so.
Yes, thank you.
I was instrumental in getting you here. I spoke to your administration and I think it was very gracious for you to come out and talk to our city. You have no skin in the game, you know.
No, but if I can help in any way, please, questions that you've got as city employees or as elected representatives, you're welcome to call me. You've got numbers.
Yes.
Please give me a call. I'm happy to talk.
I've got one quick question. Did y'all hire somebody to come in and negotiate this deal?
I negotiated the majority of it. We did hire an attorney that specializes in PUC and water. Emily was her name. She's with Bickerstaff. And so she is a former PUC lawyer. And so we thought that was extremely important for us. So she looked through it as we negotiated it. But I wouldn't say we were friends when we started the negotiation process because I'm not really easy to work with as we went through that. But we got what we wanted out of it. So it worked out pretty
Good.
Allison, you got your hand up.
Friends.
We can't do questions, but you're more than welcome to make a comment.
Well,
Because we can't interact. on
Right, I
questions.
understand. It was just actually, I guess if you wanted to bring it up later or not, but just, I'm sure the citizens are wondering, would the playing field be leveled between the outside city limits and inside the city limits with the rates?
That's probably for another conversation. I would think, y'all tell, I mean, what is she telling
I
about?
think what she's asking about is the CCN, right? So the rate
Yeah.
on the inside, the outside. So it's a statewide rate.
So yeah, it gets.
Everybody gets the same.
Right.
So
We typically do it on a
Your
tier
question was the
system.
same as our citizens, because our outside that we served, limited citizens that we served outside the city limits, we had a higher rate structure.
Right.
And the reason because they don't pay the taxes inside the city limits, but they're getting the benefit of. So really, we didn't want to be violating the Texas Constitution doing it. But when they do it, it's a statewide rate. So yeah, everybody's on the same playing field.
Yeah, I understood from PUC that, they don't have anything to do with the city stuff. but they do look at the rate structure for out of the city.
That's if you're a city setting the rate. Now, if you're an investor-owned utility setting the rate, they absolutely care about what's going on in the city limits.
Okay,
Now, we as a city, you as a city, if we were owning and operating the system, we just say, this is what it costs us to operate. We cannot lose money. And so this is our rate, and they're not gonna get involved in it. But if it's them, they're getting involved in it.
is that,
I
What are-
consider that.
I did that research and found that out. It made me feel a whole lot better about even having this conversation.
Okay, I got one quick question.
Yes.
Our water utility clerk,
I'm confused.
let's just say, no offer is given to her. Do y'all offer a severance? Do you,
Anything can be negotiated. Anything can
So I
be
think
negotiated.
a severance package for someone that we're not going to do a written offer for, we're going to do a written offer for everyone. So what we bump up against is institutional knowledge across the board, right? When a customer calls in and they're talking about water running down the street, to have someone that intelligently can field that question, does it smell their kids playing in it? I mean, some of those different things. I mean, and that's gold. It is so hard to find those people. I mean, let's be honest, water's not sexy. Nobody wants to work in this
and it's
industry.
nice to have
So that
somebody
have
knows
that
the city that
institutional
exactly
knowledge, I mean, we want it.
yeah, you're right. I had a conversation with somebody not long ago, that, y'all would come in and set that all up and have, the question and answer. And I'm thinking workshop like you were.
Yeah, I mean, public hearing, let's have a public
Public
hearing.
hearing.
But since we've got such a full room, I'm gonna ask that we try to keep emotions out of this and all the assumptions and thinking and saying, and because this is like not even, this hasn't even begun, right? This is literally a conversation tonight. The city of West Tawakoni has not put any of our blood out there. There's only been conversations. We could not answer the phone tomorrow if that's what we so chose to do, right? So I'm asking that everybody's emotions and assumptions or anything like that, let's not, I mean, because we're all a small town, right? We all know how things can just fire up like a bonfire. So let's keep all that, but I do ask that all the city folks that are here, you do keep a hold of your questions, because this is gonna come back around in a public hearing to where we have more time to focus just on this scenario. And
It'll
it's
be
probably
more-
gonna be, there's probably gonna be one, like I said, of many. I would there's no way we're gonna get this done in one setting. But,
and then a bigger building.
well, maybe
What?
in a bigger building.
Yeah.
But again, I want to thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
I thank you personally for
Yes.
coming. Both of you guys for sharing the information that y'all shared. There's nothing on our agenda that I see. I said I was going to make a motion. There's no motion to be made. The only thing I know that can happen, Mayor, would you be to speak on this, because there's no motion that was,
There's no action item, but that
there's
doesn't
no
mean,
action item.
that does not mean that we can't then later schedule
Right,
a public hearing.
So all I'm
That's
asking is at some point in the near future, we get with Joanna and we schedule a public hearing to where we can discuss this a little bit further. We'll probably set a time limit on that. And if we can't get it done in that time limit, then we'll talk to you again and have you back out here again.
Is a month from now good, or do we need to make it sooner? I know the citizens, we're gonna have to field the questions for the citizens. Because it wouldn't make sense to give the phone number, email, and all that from everybody, thousands, something, you know what I mean? So we want them to come to the council members and with their questions and concerns.
Well, and I'm happy to come back and do a town hall, or if you want to do a work session, or if you want to do an open house, I'm happy to come back and talk. Number one, the food's better in the South than it is in the Midwest. So I'm super happy to come back, and this is my craft and my passion, right? I worked for a municipality, I now work for the private side of it. I ran small package plants, and so I'm excited to talk about
So
my
you're a B
craft.
operator, A operator?
I'm an A.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I hold top licenses in I think 4 different states now.
Oh, wow, cool.
Thank God for
Do y'all want to
us.
go ahead and
Yes,
pencil in a date and
Yes.
time?
yes.
That way we were all on the same page.
You want to do it on a Saturday where we can have more citizens when they're off work?
You gotta do it when she can be here.
You might.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say. Unfortunately, I'm in business too. When somebody asks me, unless I'm holding my calendar and I hate to put somebody on the spot like that, I think this is gonna be a scenario where you're gonna have to get with her and set this up And then,
location.
yeah, and then we'll put it out to
Figure
the council.
location, figure.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
agree 100%.
I think it would
We'll
be
get that
unjust
separate.
for us
We'll get separate.
for us to say, hey, let's do it Saturday, 4 weeks from now, and ask her to commit to that right now. She's probably gonna have to look at all her schedules, and maybe if anybody had anything to her calendar or emails that she received in the past 5 hours, for people wanting her somewhere.
And get several dates from her, so
Yeah.
in case some of us
Yeah, I
can't be
mean,
there.
I think a conversation needs to be had with you and the
We
mayor.
can find something that fits.
I mean, this could even happen with Kim. I mean, it doesn't have to, I wouldn't think the mayor. Kim, you could probably start getting some dialogue down and see what kind of schedules you can work out with Joanna and get some dates and bring them back to the council and say, hey, guys, here's this look like.
We're all in agreement.
We still have lots to cover.
Okay, yeah, so now we can, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Hold
very
on.
much.
Yeah. What was your first name?
Brooks.
I know, I'm gonna give this back to you, I'm so sorry.
All right. This isn't an action item, doesn't require a vote or anything like that.
We're gonna go back to-
We're gonna go back to, number 5, citizens input. Hold on a moment. I think I've got these all of them, let's see. I do,
Didn't know whose it was. but-
Mary, you're on. Okay, there you go.
That note right there, I don't know if it got slid to you. She sent that note up and asked if there was a possibility. I don't know.
This is in regards to swapping 7 to 5.
No, I'm saying that note was asking if they could, Angela, I can't
Yes,
see.
Angela would like to speak.
I had to send this over. Angela would like to speak first, if that's possible.
Oh, okay, I didn't know, I never heard of that.
It just got slid over to you. It's gonna be in your stack of citizens, input.
Okay.
I don't know the last names. Anybody, can we get a last name?
Oh, they you?
Price?
Was it under EDC or fire?
Fire.
Fire department.
Hang on, what
I
was,
think she's taking them up like that.
Angela Price?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that it?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is regarding to, okay. All right, Ms. Price, did everyone sign, everybody got one of these, so to speak? I think we did. Anyway, Ms. Price, the floor is yours.
So this is
And
my first.
understanding that we can't do question and answers
That's
with
okay.
you.
I don't-
Okay,
I'm
okay.
just speaking in support and I've got my own 3-minute timer because there's a limit. I'm in education, so this is,
You're probably gonna have to speak up too for everyone.
Yeah, it's on there.
you got it. All right, if there's a certain place.
If you,
The podium, stand at the podium, you want to?
All right.
Uh,
Hey, good evening. My name is Angela Price Fraser, and I wanted to come up here and just talk about our relationship that we have with the fire department and what it means to us as fairly new parts of this community. So for starters, we bought a house here September 2021. I'm sorry, 2022, and it started with a Nextdoor ad or a post. I had mentioned that I needed to find something contactless to do for Halloween because the month prior, my 4-year-old, then 3-year-old, was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer, and I couldn't take him anywhere. It was actually, we had a lot of good Samaritans reach out, and it was actually a member of the fire department that reached out to us. And not only were they going to do a trunk or treat, they allowed my kids to come view the station, and then we had a full fire department escort around the trunk or treat. And for a mom who every day was worried about, is my kid gonna make it? I can't take them anywhere. This was a chance for normalcy for us. I'd like to add too that it didn't just stop there. And it's still continuing to this day in terms of the support we've been given. we actually got to experience things as a family because of the fire department's events and because of the special precautions they would take with my family. And that was a gift that it made us have a better year, and it's part of our survivor story. I'd also like to mention that as somebody who grew up in a town very much like West Tawakoni, I grew up in Chico, Texas, also by a lake, also very rural, also under 2,000 people. One thing that West Tawakoni does very different compared to other communities is just the sheer number of events that are done. We might have had 2 a year growing up, and I lost count at like 25, 26 with the number that the fire department alone has put on. And that's when I started thinking about, well, what about the other events that they've had a hand in? And so that's to close it out, but I just wanted to share my support. And the West Tawakoni Fire Department is also one of the reasons where when we bought our house, it was a starter home and a starter community. And now, thanks for the love of the community and the fire department, we will be permanent members because we want to raise our kids here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I drop things when I'm nervous.
Yeah, I've got, it's written here tonight, I see his name, but I don't see
He's
that.
outside, he's out.
Oh, he's outside.
Do you want to grab him?
I'll skip him for now. Okay, Shirley Cheek. Shirley, hey Shirley, how are you?
I guess well, how about you?
You're good, man.
Hope I can talk.
Yeah.
I'm here for the volunteer fire department. I think you have got the best West Tawakoni Fire Department I have ever seen. They're a bunch of great guys. They work hard. They're very community-wise. They do everything in the world they can for their community. And if you need help, all you can do is call them, talk to them, and they'll always talk to you. I just wanted to let you know that I think you have got one of the best fire departments I've ever seen. And I have been involved with other fire departments, but this is one of the best.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, I didn't see Debbie either. Oh, I see now. You like your hair or something, huh?
I'm getting gray.
Ah.
I'm sorry. You know, I got tired of doing it. Is that for the fire department or the chamber?
Yes, you got two? I got, this one says fire department. You
Yeah,
have
my
two?
page went on, so I just submitted another one. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is for the West Tawakoni, or for the Tawakoni Fire Department. I can tell you firsthand, I've been here for a long time. I don't live in the city, but I had property here. And I had a boat, the guy pulling a boat, and tire exploded, and they went through my property and through the trees, and got hung up in the trees, and they were right there on the spot. They pulled the guy out, everybody was fine. They gave me a phone call personally, because they knew who it was, and that means a lot, that, you know, the fire department knows everybody, and they're so deep into the community that they are willing to help anybody and everybody. I'll go on to say that as part of the chamber, that, they are there anytime we have any kind of issue. We were about to have a massive luncheon, and somebody had hit our flagpole, and it was coming down, and we didn't know when, so they rushed right over and helped us with that, and anything we asked them to do, they are always there to help protect us. For fire department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, you might, I was gonna say you might as well stand
Okay.
up there. You got fire
Sure.
department and chamber regarding the,
Jam Fest,
there you go. Thank you.
2024 Jam Fest.
I was just figuring since you're already up here.
Yeah,
Sure, you can take mine out because I put mine also.
Dina,
I just want to make sure. Yes, sir.
Senator Dina, right?
Yes, sir.
I just saw her. Go ahead, Dick.
Cool. So my name's Dina Sweeney. I'm one of the directors of the Chamber of Commerce. So as you know, this is Debbie Darter. This is Jennifer Robinson. She's our secretary of the executive board. So we're here today because we want to ask you to please waive the $800 fee that you're asking us to pay to use the park for Jam Fest and the 4th of July fireworks show. So each year the chamber takes it on. We raise the funds. We work with sponsors, we work with vendors, we work with Chase Travers to bring in music for the show. It brings in revenue and tourism and everything for your city. We do all of the setup, we work the event, and we break it down, and we make sure to clean up afterwards. We'd like to continue to work with the city to do this for the citizens, for the city, and,
It does take a great deal of effort on the chamber and everyone involved. The sheriff, county sheriffs come in, the city comes in, and their police department, the fire departments, and multiple fire departments to help make sure everything goes smoothly. And it does take a great deal of effort. We make very little money on it, and we do not feel that you guys should pull out of the way by adding on top of that. So that's just what she says.
Okay. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Barbara Taylor. Barbara here. Barbara Taylor. Huh?
Right here,
Oh, she's outside.
maybe.
I can always come back to it. Dwayne. Don't need to mention the last name, we know who you are.
Yep, that's me.
We met you a couple times.
Mayor, council, well, I'm here in support of the fire department. Not only am I the oldest member, I am the senior member. I've been there longer than anybody else. I've been there since 2013, when it was another department, and then another department, and another department. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? Right now, we have the good. Chief Burkett has done more fire department than anybody in the past. We have a station, we have sweeping quarters, we have kitchen, we have TV room. We have firemen that actually stay on site at the fire station and are available all night long. And those things come because the dedication of this man. And we support him 100%, and we thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Barbara Taylor, come in.
She said pass.
Say what?
She was gonna leave, you can pass.
Oh, okay. How about Chief Torrance, is that right? Will's point, huh?
Yes, sir.
I'll
I've
give
been
you-
in Hunt County since 2013. I'm chief at Tawakoni South Volunteer Fire
Oh,
Department.
okay.
So I've been around this area for a while. I've seen the past chiefs down here in Tawakoni, how they ran it, what happened. So I know the history of it. And I can tell you right now, Burkett has done wonders with this department. It has moved up and beyond from what it has been. It's still moving up. As an alternative department that's trying to, if y'all are looking for an alternative one to bring in, I've heard rumors, I'm not gonna mention names. I've seen the outcome of their status as well, and it's not a good one.
Are you certified?
Am I certified?
You have a certification
I do,
in what?
fire.
Okay. Thank you.
So, but as far as anything I've seen him do in the past years, was it the last 3 years, he's missed no calls at his department at all. So, and that's saying something right there on itself. That's all I've got.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Is David Rutherford here?
Yes, sir, I am.
Here, oh, there you are.
Deputy Chief of Tawakoni South Fire Department. Lived in Hunt County since 1998. So probably the past 4 or 5 chiefs before Burkett took over. I don't have a fire certification. I've been doing this since I was 13 years old. The only certification I hold is scuba, underwater search and rescue, underwater search and recovery. What this man's doing without a certification is basically the same thing that I'm doing for our department. We handle business accordingly. Everything is done within the requirements of the law. There's nothing in the state of Texas that says to be a member or run a volunteer fire department, you have to hold the TCFP certification or even be EMT certified. The only thing they want you to have, which is a hospital contract requirement, is to be first aid, CPR, and AED certified. So as far as coming in to be a chief on a fire department or run it, you got a guy right here that's giving you his all. And to look elsewhere would, in my honest evaluation and opinion, would be kind of crazy. That's all I've got, and I'll be around until you guys get done if anybody has any questions.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Hang on. second. Kathy, I'm not understanding, you got a note, Kathy Waddell, there's a note at the bottom, but I can't make out what it says. So, it says something about time to, yield time, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I've had that done before, but okay.
I'm Alicia Lee, and this is for the EDC. And the EDC was created to support the small businesses and bring new businesses into the city. And the ultimate goal is to enhance the economic prosperity and standard of living within the community. The West Tawakoni Fire Department is a 5013C nonprofit which does not provide any revenue to the city of the West Tawakoni, nor does it employ any employees. This is a volunteer-based organization. The total revenue for 2022 was $140,675. In 2021, it was $58,151. The increase of income was $82,524 from 2021 to 2022. Recently, the Tawakoni Fire Department was granted a grant for $120,000 loan from American National Bank for concrete driveway for the fire department. Since the EDC meeting of 2/5/24, the fire department received a $120,000 loan. The $20,000 could have been applied for the radios without asking for a grant from the EDC. The loan from the American National Bank was requested and granted before 2/5 of the EDC meeting. So Chris himself could have used some of that loan money instead of getting a grant from the city to purchase the radios that Leon and you went and presented to the EDC board. So it was two city council members that went before that conspired really against the city to get those two, to get the loans. I contacted Carlton after the EDC meeting, and he gave me his phone number and his cell number. And this is what he said. He said an EDC grant money for radios to a volunteer fire department is not a legal expenditure under the local government code 501 to 505. He's a CEO of the EDC in Texas and Austin, Texas. So I don't think that anybody else should give a statement concerning that whenever the EDC, the CEO of the EDC is telling you it's illegal. Furthermore, Allison and I had a conversation online, and this is what she stated. Now, do I personally feel that the fire department should receive a grant for the radio equipment? No, I do not. What did you say? You said it was time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we could, I didn't know, I've never been approached about yielding time. I say it was the first.
Okay.
Anyway, like everybody else, we appreciate all the information that you've given us tonight.
Okay.
And if you need something later, we just can't go back and forth question and answer. Is Red here? Red Byron?
I didn't see him.
He was resting.
He was outside.
See.
Does he have some?
There he is.
There he is.
Come on, come on.
Hi, my name's Rhett Byers. I'm also with the Tawakoni Fire Department. I moved to West Tawakoni in December of 2021. Since that time, I've started working with the fire department about April of 22. And in that time, I've seen nothing but good things happening over there. I don't know the history like some of the other people, but I've certainly heard about it. The changes that have been happening over there have all been positive ever since I've been there. I've actually, in the last 6 months, kind of went on the reserves as I've been dealing with other life stuff and working 6 days a week. But I still keep in contact. I know we've got a lot of people. Training is still going on at all times.
I've heard mentioned at the EDC and the community, two big things, which is why I joined the fire department. One, to actually be of real service in both capacities. The other part too is, from an EDC standpoint, is one of the root infrastructures of any city is its fire department. We talk about bringing in new business. We talk about protecting our community and everything else. What are you going to do without a fire department? I know it was on status. I don't know what was on the agenda. I don't know what the alternatives are talking about. But as far as I know, since I've been here in West Tawakoni, the fire department is by far the number one thing moving forward. I haven't seen anything else compare. I'll leave my piece with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
It's just a check.
Okay, Tracy, you up, buddy?
Thank y'all for your time. I'm here for the fire department too. I'm not a volunteer fireman. I'm not a paid fireman. I'm not a member of the city, an employee of the city. So I guess I'm here for myself. I started getting to know a lot of these guys about 8 months ago when I started to build the fire station down in Tawakoni South. Before then, I really didn't know how they operate, just by guessing or hearsay. But since I've been around them and been around so many of them and hearing them, it's really staggering to know that 75% of the fire departments that are in Texas are volunteer. That's a huge amount that have to get funding through either begging sometimes or doing boot drives or doing fish fries or whatever they're doing to get the funding. In this county alone, 84% make up volunteer fire departments. These guys spend their own money, every one of them, for gas, wear and tear on their vehicles. There's a lot of money that gets spent by these firemen that I think people don't realize. And just because they don't realize it doesn't mean that they should. I've been around it. I've gotten to see it firsthand. I know that every time that I've posted anything on Facebook for help with the community, Chris and the fire departments, Tawakoni South, Cash, all of them, they step up just like that. And they've always stepped up and helped us do whatever we need to do for the community. And I think that that's huge. Just to go back to the $120,000 loan, whatever that loan is, it was. But I do know for a fact that that $120,000 wasn't even enough to cover what they had. I know that for a fact. I was a general contractor on the job. The $120,000, 100% of that money went to that job. On top of that, because it wouldn't get all the way around the fire station, which would give them complete access, myself, along with another person, donated $10,000 to extend that concrete so they can get around it. Still not enough. I've offered to them I would cover cost until they do anything down the road. I would cover that to get this fire department done right. You don't want to pull around to the back and you can't get around whenever you're trying to get to a fire truck. I've witnessed over there whenever they built the fire station too low to begin with. And I told them when they first did it, I said, the worst thing that can happen to you guys is pull out of this fire department and sink right here in the front while there's a fire going on. And that's exactly what happened the first time they did it. Now that problem's solved. This is probably one of the best ways to fund the money went to this fire department was by getting this concrete, because it's done now. There is no repairs every other month. It's done. But I do know that 100% of that money went to that, and we're still lacking. There's still about $40,000 it's going to take to complete that job all the way. So I don't know about the money that they had left for radios, but I do know that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Michael Reese.
Hi there, thank you. Been a member of the community since, probably 68 or so. I just want to come up here and talk about our volunteer fire department. Since I've lived here off and on, this is probably the best we've had. I remember when it started back in early 70s, and I remember what it was like in the 80s and 90s, and it is by far the best this city has ever seen, or this community has ever seen. I'm not a member of it. I've never been a volunteer of it, but I met Chris recently. So I'm just here to help support what he's doing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's outstanding for our community, and I think it puts a lot of people's mind at ease that we've got that kind of support when we're on fire. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Robert Staggs?
He had to step out on a fire call. He'll be right back.
Okay, I'm gonna set it aside for now. Miss Mary,
Mine is non-agenda items, Mayor.
it is, oh, yeah, you're right, I see it now. I got a handful of them up
Thank you,
here. We're done with the fire department part of it. Allison Bell, Mary, Pam Reed, and, who else? I think that's it. Yeah, what we have left is Pam, Allison, and Mary, and Robert Staggs, winning if he makes it back.
He's on his way right now.
Okay, all right.
I think he had another one over here.
I don't-
Or-
I'm not showing anything. Did you fill out a form?
Yes,
Who did you give it to?
I passed it up here.
What's your name?
Stacy Rogers.
Oh, I did. I sure do have that. I thought Stacy was, I got Stacy, Dina mixed up. Hang on a second. Okay, I got it. Come on, Stacy, what you got? Sorry about that. I got the hotel at the same time I did Dina's to move it to a different. Go ahead.
My name is Stacy Rogers. I'm not used to speaking to adults. I'm a teacher. I speak to kids all day long. So anyway, I'm here on, against the fire, not the fire department per se. I still talk to some people on the West Tawakoni Fire Department. I'm here more against Burkett. My husband on July the 2nd, 2022 was hurt and injured in a fire. He was the only one that was sent to a fire call. Of course, instead of running through the fence without the proper training given by the fire department, he jumped over the fence, shattered his ankle. He called Chris and told him that he thought his ankle was broke. He could not walk on it. Chris was in the middle of selling a fire truck to people out of town. Chris said that he told Michael to get in the truck and drive it back to the fire station because he did not want anything to jeopardize the sale. My husband got into the truck, drove the fire truck back to the fire department where he was instructed to sit in the truck until the sale was finished. Then 3 hours later, he was taken to the hospital where he fractured his ankle and had to have hardware put in so that he could attempt to walk with a limp. Since then, we went through 4 surgeries. The last one, he had staph in the bone from the surgery and almost lost his leg. During that course, his blood pressure, we've had issues with blood pressure and everything else because of that injury. Now, where it was Chief Burkett during all this, he never showed up for surgery. We could hardly get him, Michael couldn't get him to answer the phone half of the time. He finally called before the last surgery and told Michael, well, get well so you can get back on the fire department, in which I texted him and told him to leave my husband alone because there's no support. Fire department is supposed to be a brotherhood. I know that. I'm a niece of a retired fire department person. I don't know if you know him, Fred Worley. He had the bridge renamed to the officers that passed away, the Marine. That is my uncle.
Army.
Yes. And his son also last year on December 26th took his own life due to PTSD from because he was a state trooper and saw a wreck where his best friend and son was killed between 2 semis. Now, I know the video that goes around about him saying often people, which he is part of, runs medical calls. Sorry.
Can you
Yes,
wrap
yes.
up real quick?
And so he is supporting behind me to, we would like for him to be removed and we're gonna go about this.
Okay. I appreciate your time, Stacy. Now we're down to Mary. Or you gonna be last?
I'll be late.
Okay. All right, Allison Bell.
I just want to speak real quick on also Chris Burkett and also what my position is on the EDC. First off, my personal opinion has no room for my decisions on the board. I can't go up there and make a decision just because of how I feel about somebody, and I won't. That's not what I'm there for. I'm there to help move this city forward. That's not a decision I can just make my personal, however I feel about him, has no room in that. The decision I made that day was to help make West Tawakoni better. Bringing in businesses, bringing in new homes, they have to have that fire infrastructure there. I will say, do I respect the man after what he said at that meeting? No, I do not. My husband committed suicide in 2011, and I feel forever affected by that. Do I respect him? No. But that has no room on that board for my judgment. That is.
I understand.
Sorry.
Okay, it's okay.
So any decisions I make on that board have nothing to do with how I feel about anybody. I mean, I don't think anybody should be up there making personal decisions. That's not what we're there for. We're there to move the city forward. That's all I have to say.
Good. Thank you, Allison. Thank you. Pam Reed.
As for the fire department, I'm very happy that we have our fire department here. And as an EDC president, whenever I looked at giving money to the fire department, what we did that for is for the citizens. Because if they did not have the communication tools that they needed as a fire department, it would have increased response time. And I don't know about how many of you are older like I am, but if I have a heart attack, I don't want to wait 15 minutes for someone to come out and take care of me. These radios that we gave them money for cuts down our response time because no longer will it have to go from this server to this server to this server to this server before they get their call. So that's the reason that we did that. As far as conspiracy that Alicia likes to say we have, a board member of mine asked me to put that on the agenda. I made special effort for that time between the time she asked me to put it on the agenda until after the decision was made not to speak to Robin, not to speak to Leon, not to speak to Kevin, not to speak to Chris, not to speak to Jack or to the mayor, because I wanted to let my board make the decision, and that's what I did. So as far as conspiracy goes, and you got the wrong person. And then the other part of that is that I am looking out for our businesses. We don't need an increase in our home insurance or business insurance because we don't have response time from our fire department. And for that reason, we as the EDC are looking for what benefits our people. I know that the mayor has a vendetta against me and against Chris, and it's very obvious in all the things that he posts on social media. I'm sorry about that too. But until I'm taken off the board, I'm going to be looking out for our people. And that's that.
Thank you. This is one that they faxed in and said that they weren't able to attend, Kim, this one.
Yes.
There's three total. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll just start with the first one. I can't make out the name. Keith Grant. I don't know. To whom may concern, the Tawakoni Fire Department has helped me and my family more than a lot over the last year. These people are the best. Their response time is lost. They are always kind and sweet.
That word is fast.
Oh, okay. I
So
second
read the radio,
read.
sorry.
That's, I appreciate it. These all ways here,
They're always kind
they
of.
are all, okay, you have to think, yeah, always, a game on, I gave on,
A game.
a game, okay. I have a real hard time reading this. Better than the guys that get paid. Thank you very much. I can't think of the name. I got a phone number, but I'm not gonna go with that. The next one that I've got is, from James Robertson. The Tawakoni Fire Department, are greatly appreciated for their promptness and expert knowledge. They're also courteous and very helpful. The captain is very good at what he does. For me and my family, I don't know what I would do without his services. My name, James Robertson, and I live at 608, I'm not gonna mention the address. If you have any questions about the service to me and my family, call me at any time, and he gives a phone number. So I don't wanna give out someone's phone number and or address that's not here, or they may oppose that. There's another one here from Joanne Younger.
Joan.
Joan Younger. When I need help, the first people that are here for emergency are the first fire department and the police department, the best you could find. And that is that. And, okay, Mary. Did Robert Staggs ever come in? Okay.
Yeah, you crossed the bottom about.
Okay.
276.
I know I had at least a minute left. Can I just add something else?
It would have to be a real quick comment, that's
No, it
it.
is, and just to, as a rebuttal to the whole illegal part of that, that was an opinion given by Carlton Schwab, and I do have that email from him that states that it was not a law, it is his opinion that it was not a legal transaction.
Okay. Mary? You're up.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
No, it's non-related to the agenda.
Right. Well, this is
So
good.
what I wanted to speak on,
I want to
Mayor,
get them all out of the way.
is city council, okay, fine.
I don't want you to sit here for another hour. That's
all
what it's
right.
gonna be.
I don't mind. As you know, I'm Mary Hall, I'm the chair of the Keep West Tawakoni Beautiful. And we have adopted 2 miles along Highway 276. You probably have seen the signs. They start right close to Hoyt Breathing Products, and it goes all the way down towards Quinlan to about the sheriff's substation down there. And we have to clean this area 4 times a year. And our first cleanup is going to be April 6th. And we're going to be doing it from 9 o'clock in the morning to noon. And we need lots of volunteers. We have received all of our supplies from TxDOT. I have boxes and boxes of grabbers, gloves, vest, you have to wear a vest, hand sanitizer, all kinds of good stuff that TxDOT has sent us. We need lots of volunteers, like I say. That's a pretty good distance. We have to do both sides of the road, so it's more like 4 miles we're doing. And this is also the weekend prior to the solar eclipse. That is taking place on the 8th, on a Monday, and just afternoon. And we want our city on the lake to look welcoming to all these visitors that'll be coming to our city and possibly to our park. We need church groups, service organizations, businesses, HOA groups, and individual families are encouraged to help our city to shine on that weekend. We realize that there may be some trash after that from all the people that we anticipate coming. So we'll probably have to do it again shortly after that. I also wanted to speak on behalf of one of our former city council members, Karen Corey. She's in the hospital right now. But her passion in the past couple of years has been this total eclipse. And since she's not able to be here, I told her I would bring it up. But the neighboring cities of East Tawakoni and Emory all have events scheduled for that weekend and for that day. And we have an amazing opportunity to welcome people to our area, show off our little city. And this would give us a great opportunity to attract new businesses and residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we take like a
3 minute break? I've got to. Y'all don't want me to sitting up here.
I'll leave the chamber, parking lot, I'll say what time. Well, we're gonna start at 9, but maybe 8:30 or so.
Everybody.
What's your question?
sorry, I had to take a 5-10 minute break. Where we're gonna open back up at is you turn your page to the last page. You got one, number 17. Oh, it's Rob Staggs here, that's right. Look at, hey, Rob, come on. I got you.
Council, Mayor, thank you for allowing me to speak. Had something to go on a while ago, I had to go take care of it, made it back in time, thank you. So talking about the Tawakoni Fire Department, I remember several years back, that fire department was struggling quite a bit. There were people in leadership roles there that were not pushing their fire department to do anything better themselves. Also, there was mishandling of funds going on quite a bit, and I was a large part to do with trying to end that. That's why I ended up in your city as a fire chief for a small amount of time. Also, I was trying to push that fire department to pretty much run like the Cache Fire Department, run and operate like we do. The members at that time that was on the fire department was not prepared for that. They did not have the time to put forth to run the fire department and staff it as we do at Cache and as we run all the calls that we do at Cache. Now that fire department is starting to move forward into that manner to where they're fixing to be staffing that station in the future. They have made leaps and bounds compared to what it used to be. They actually have equipment that will get out there and actually handle the job and be able to perform on the scene, unlike what we had before. It takes all a great deal of money to run a fire department and run it properly. Anything that has to do with a fire department, monetary wise, is very expensive. Very, very expensive. I know this fire department has made great strides to get the equipment they have. All these fire departments struggle one way or the other, but they have made leaps and bounds to be where they are now. Anytime that we call them in Cache to come back us up, they are there. If they ever need help, we're there. I can't say enough about what they have done to be where they're currently at. This is my 24th year of firefighting. I am fully certified. It takes a lot for a firefighter to come to where I currently am, to include working on a career department. They actually have a training program in place. They actually have their firemen sitting out here and trying to train. The biggest problem with a lot of volunteer fire departments, and this is Texas-wide, not even Texas-wide, this is United States-wide. There's a lot of people that are having a hard time coming to the door doing it for free. For the guys that you have here, the men and women that you currently have here now, it speaks volumes for them for being here and doing it for free. And they're doing a great job. They really are doing a great job. I know some people may not agree with that, but you know what? We don't agree with our current political environment, United States-wide right now. But this fire department has made great strides to be where they are.
Okay. It?
That's it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Man, give up on me. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 17 on the last page, presentation by Chamber of Commerce for rental of the city park.
So you need a motion, so
I need a
move
motion.
17 up, I make a motion, we move 17
And 18.
17 and 18
Yeah.
up.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell. Ron Meyer.
Chris Burkett.
Nice. All right, number 17, presentation by Chamber for rental of the city park for Jam Fest. Oh, wait, is this just written twice? Oh, it's a presentation in 17, discuss and take action on the same item, is number 18, okay.
Well, so you already let her do 17, I think.
Yeah, so I think,
Yeah,
I
they were
think they kind of did.
I think-
I think they kind of did that with
Dean
their
already did it.
citizens input, really.
Well, we did have a meeting with Mr. Featherston and Mike.
I'm talking tonight. Tonight's.
I think what the question was is, on 17, the presentation by the Chamber of Commerce. You pretty much spoke on that, I think, within your.
Correct.
So we could move past that and we could probably start talking about 18 as far as discussing waiving the fees.
Well, real quick, do you have anything additional that you didn't have? Are you looking at 17 yet, Deb?
Am I doing what?
You're looking at number 17, last page.
Okay.
When Gina spoke.
Did y'all have a full presentation or?
Yeah, I don't want to skip it.
I basically gave my presentation in private to,
We have it here, we have
You've
what you're.
you've got my
you guys are
layout.
doing. Yep.
We'd like to do the very same thing as we did last year, same layout. We would like to have the park waived. And I can tell you that it's a great deal of effort on our part to bring this to your city and to staff it and to maintain it and to take care of it and to clean it up and to make sure that we get enough funds to do that. We made very little money to do that. So if we add on top of that, the only thing we're gonna be able to do to make that up is to go ask more money from people or charge an entrance fee, which is not really what we ever wanted to do. We wanted to bring this free to the city, so the city citizens can have a good time, and so we can memorialize Calvin Travers. And his vision was for the park to be utilized by all the citizens and to have great events there. So that's what we're trying to do. We'd like to ask you to waive that fee and all fees that we need. If you need to sell the RV spots, that's okay. We understand that.
Can you tell us roughly, this is your second year?
Third.
What did you make versus what did it cost last year?
Yes, sir. We collected total with sponsors, vendors, and beer sales. We made $20,771. All the costs involved with that was $17,530.09. And then that doesn't count payroll. So that's another $1,500. So like I said, we barely broke even.
Do you have a rough number of how many people you drew into the park?
That's a good question. It's really hard to count that many people. I do know that there were cars everywhere, down the highway. I think it was well attended. And we had help from several groups of people that just enjoyed helping us and keeping crowd. I was just so proud of them.
I think the Young Marines had something to do with
Yeah, Young Marines, the Generation Faith helped with parking. I mean, it's just a huge event for the community, and everybody loves fireworks and everybody loves music.
So you are considering fireworks again this year? That will be part of it?
Absolutely. No, that's going up. They have not given us a total yet. So we're balancing on the edge of being able to do it or not being able to do it.
Do you have a time?
The time is July 6th.
July 6th, I mean, a time frame that you're gonna need the park.
Well, we'll need it to as soon as we can get it and start probably the night before to help set up some of the things.
So yeah, last year we used the day before, the day of, and the day after, or the morning after, rather.
That's fine.
And I do know that Tammy Anthony, one of our directors, she actually rented two, I believe, RV
She rented
spots.
2 RV spots
And the
and
next day after the event, like everybody got cleaned up, but however, some people came in after the event or the next day. And she personally walked that entire park and picked up every bit of trash that was left, not only that was missed, but what other people contributed the day after.
I did too. Me and my little
Yes.
dog came the next
So
day.
you guys
We
did a
picked
great
up what
job
was
cleaning
missing.
that up, maintaining it.
We didn't have any lights at the ballpark, so we could have done more that night. But it was very difficult to see, and I know it's hard for everybody to get back to their cars, and I'm hoping that they might work this year.
Well,
I don't know about that.
the cost of the lights, for us to buy the lights is just short of $14,000 right now. Those lights all have to be replaced. So there's lots of cost that goes into the park.
And FEC has
Well,
offered.
FEC is gonna do all the work, but we gotta buy the
Yeah,
materials. And so they told us the best lights for us to get, and we've gotten a price, and we can actually buy them at their price. That's at their price.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's still a
so
lot, but yeah.
They're gonna be LED lights, the ones that they told us about. It would be 2 lights per pole rather than 3 that's there now, because the 2 LED lights per pole will put out more light than what the old lights did. But there's some rewiring that's gonna have to be done. We're gonna take care of all that within the city. I mean, it's just, I spent about 2 or 3 hours out there walking with FEC, and I was doing a bunch of testing and stuff, so there's some things that we identified that's gonna have to be rewired and fixed and whatever. So there'll be some other materials that the city will have to buy. I plan on donating the labor to do that part of it. But, yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a cost there.
I think that's something you could use year round.
Somebody have something?
He's with us.
You're with it.
You're
Yeah,
you're helping them, you're helping them with this event.
If there was a donation of $14,000 brought to the city and say, I want this to go toward the lights, would it do that, or would the city decide where that 14,000 goes?
No. If I come to you and ask for money for lights, and you bring me that money, and I spend it on gas, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. So,
I just
yes.
didn't know if there was something that,
No,
that
we're
the
not.
city, like, you donate to the city and the city decides where it goes.
No.
supersede it.
Especially if you stipulate, I want this money to go to this. So, no, we're not gonna do that. And we've never done it, never will.
Right, I was just wondering because I would offer to help get something going for you guys, try to help something.
Yeah, and FEC, like, the biggest thing is the parts. FEC's got a lift that'll lift, it's about a, you ain't gonna rent a lift.
Well, I mean, we see them all the time working on these power lines and stuff, but they are willing to actually, they're gonna hang the lights and all that. We gotta get all the electrical working. But other than
Yeah,
that.
we got 3 months, 4 months, till July, is that 4 months?
3.
3?
Yeah.
So really, we've kind of, you talked about what y'all were doing, so we sort of moved to 18, right? Am I right?
I just have one other question.
Yeah, we did.
You guys don't want to use the point, right? You just want
No.
the main part, right?
Well, your
Fireworks,
fireworks
they
are
gotta
gonna
come in and
be,
out of there.
your fireworks are gonna be down there,
There
right?
won't be a large amount of people out down there.
Right.
They can, I
And
think they have
also-
a park down that
So-
road though.
Technically.
So yes, yes. they do.
Technically, if they're going from that point and not on the water, they're gonna shoot it off at the pier. That has to be completely closed off back there.
Yes.
You can't have anybody with, and I don't have my paperwork with me, within so many feet. So
Okay.
the point has to be part of it in order to let this happen.
But that'll be open for the citizens, if anybody that wants to come watch them, right? It doesn't have, they don't have to be
Not at the
participating
No,
in the
not at the
event.
point, because that's
Correct.
gonna be the ignition, that's gonna be the ignition side of the fireworks.
Right.
Unless you go with the boat again, then that's totally different. That's still an option from what I
That
understand.
is still an option.
But if it is done from the point on the dock, that has to be closed off.
Well, hopefully not the dock, that's plastic.
Not the dock, I'm sorry, the
The
ramp.
ramp's probably underwater.
And I have one other question, and I know you've answered, I've asked you this every single year, but we want to make it quite clear. You will have TABC certified
Oh, yeah.
licensed people there to serve beer and wine.
Absolutely. And we will need a letter from the city that allows us to do
You
that.
did that.
Yeah, I'll redo it. for this year.
That was actually.
That's basically what we've been doing for the last few years, the way we're doing it.
Yeah, it's a requirement.
I think last year, the liquor sales was even up in the air, whether it was gonna be worth it or not, if I'm not mistaken. And it turned out good.
I'm pretty tough on that. I put them all in a corral.
You're pretty tough on everybody, Dave.
Hey, I gotta get it done. So what we do is we corral them in, and it's not just a rope, a little light rope. Last year we had cattle guards, which worked out brilliantly because people can't just walk in and out of it. And then we had someone at the front at the gate. The sheriff's department was right outside, so that really helped, you know. And there's only 2 of us, and so I know people were trying to help serve beer, but I said, you can't touch the beer unless they come over and get it for me. So
I know as a council member, I hear it all the time about giving the park out, not charging for this, not charging for that. But to me, events like this bring people in, and that's how we're gonna grow this city. I personally think that we need to continue with what we've been doing and let them have this park for this event at no cost, and let them continue to grow this event and continue to bring more people in.
it is our intention as a Chamber of Commerce to someday have the city take this over and us help, continue to help. Don't blink at me.
No, I
You look like this, yes.
No, I mowed my yard right before I came up here. It was a bad idea.
Yes, sir.
dirt.
But that's our intention. I know Quinlan does a very good job with theirs, but the entire city does it. You know, I volunteer, everybody volunteers to do it. There's about $30,000 that goes into that, so I'm not there yet. So that is our intention, is hopefully that one day the city can do it, and we help.
So was that a motion?
Well,
No.
so I know last year, I wish Michael was here so we could, because he's more in tune with the campsites, because Morgan's keeping that information, right?
The campsites, all the electricity went out, we blew it.
Yeah, they just, the city just spent quite a bit of money.
Okay,
Does
good.
anybody know on invoices, whatever? It's been several months back, but there's quite a bit of money that was spent.
On
Like
veterans?
there was a bunch of stuff that had to be replaced out there.
Oh, yeah.
But what I was thinking was, I know last year there was some problems with, Shannon, can you help me? Because I think you may remember, were these first two spots? Because I think you were actually taking care of some of the campsites last year.
That's when Morgan first started.
So I think we had a couple here that we had to put some tents up or something.
Oh,
We
that
already
was-
rented some out.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
most of them we were able to move over to the side with the fence, but there were a couple still on the inside.
And so I don't know how many reservations we already have. There's some
I'm
people
trying
put,
to find out now.
there's some people that put reservations in like a year in advance. And I understand what you're saying, and I think in our discussion, we were talking about it, about how much we, as council members, get beat on about giving the park away. I mean, I've got messengers full of it and text messages full of it. I have my phone number. So, I mean, if we were to do this, should we say that the city, one's rented now?
Yes,
So would we say that the city would want to rent these spots back out? Or could we say this, that if you guys rent them out, if you rent them out for double the price on your side, would you give the city the other half of it? As far as all the ones that are on the inside. I mean,
What's the price on them?
I don't know that y'all are marketing those or not. What are they?
Ours are $25 a
They're
night.
$25 a night.
The RV
So-
spots?
Yeah. So, and I mean, it was like 3 days, it was basically, we were talking about 3 days.
So you've got 5 food vendors and 11 vendors that you would want spots, the RV spots for. Well,
Well,
no,
they-
there's some on the other side. that
They
won't have any.
they actually
Yeah.
set up, if I remember right, when y'all were talking about it, they set up in other spots too, right? The vendors, the food
The
vendors.
vendors were towards the left side.
Yeah,
So
that-
you're
that's
looking at the inside RV spots?
Yes, sir.
So why don't we just say,
We didn't have these last year. They were already rented out. We only had these right here, and they had to bring them. They
so did you charge them for those or? did you
Yes,
just-
$100 for food.
So why don't we just say the park at zero cost except for those pads?
Why don't you make that an emotion?
Those RV pads?
Those RV pads on the inside. That way, it's not already rented. Or we work as a team. If we're able to rent it, we rent it. If they're able to work as, they rent it. If they're renting it for 100, we're only charging 25, we get
Yeah, whatever the
25.
city, whatever the city.
Does that make sense?
For one night or all three? I mean, you're losing, you said you normally rent them for 3 nights?
No. Y'all
No,
were talking
he's-
about,
he's
y'all, the
saying
event
that
was
we rent
basically
them for
gonna
3
take
nights.
up 3 nights.
So we charge $100, we would only be $25.
Is that $100 a night or
No.
$100 for 3 nights? That's
We
your-
only do it for one night.
One night.
Right.
One night.
So
Okay.
what I was
So they
getting
don't
at,
need
All day
them.
Saturday.
But the vendors aren't gonna be there Friday night
Right.
and Sunday.
So then they're not renting them, so there's no charge, there's nothing to worry about.
right, that, all I was getting at was the flack that I have personally received is, okay, y'all had an event and it was the park for 2 days long. So y'all missed all the revenue on y'all potentially missed all your revenue on those RV sites, or how many people didn't rent RV sites because there was an event? Well, and I'll probably get flack for downplaying the
You're gonna get
conversation.
flash no matter what you do.
No, I understand that, but
Is there a reason why we reverse the flow?
The big ones?
yes.
Okay.
So they're-
Okay, so
how
why
many
don't we just say
RV spots are we
this?
Talking about.
Rent the park for $250.
Wait,
Yes.
normally it's this way.
That covers,
We're gonna
if
go
they,
that way because
we're not losing anything on any of those RV spots.
Okay. Nobody's gonna be able to get here.
Yeah, and if they're charging 100, then that's $1,000. You're only paying out 250 out of the 1,000 instead of 800.
Oh, okay.
It's a kind of meet in the middle.
So, and then you reason was food industry people walk around, but that makes no sense. We're trying to stop. I know,
Okay.
but that's what I'm saying, is
Did you hear what he just said?
What?
So you got 10 RV spots, right? Y'all charging $100 just in?
I'll pay that.
Nothing.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think so.
Is that correct? 6 RV spots on the inside?
Yeah, there's 6 on the inside and then there's 6 on the outside.
I'll say we give them the park for nothing and I'll pay for the 6 spots, $150.
Make a motion.
Is that a motion?
And y'all, that's a motion.
Okay. Is a second?
I'll second that.
Leon, Chris.
For clarity, the motion is that the city is gonna give that away.
The entire park.
Entire park.
Then whatever you do is between you.
And I'm gonna rent those spots and give them to them.
So where the motion is basically just to let the park go for free for this event.
The center of it, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna leave these open to the
Actually, I
public.
guess it's not really that.
So he's got he made a motion?
It needs to be.
Yeah, those are open. That's not part of what they're wanting.
Okay, wait.
We don't want
Hang
outside.
on.
Hold on.
The emotion should be amended to, technically, they are going to be renting it for 150, right?
Oh,
For 6 spots. And
Right.
then you are gonna
I'll
cut
give
them
them
a
the
check.
money,
All
yes.
that, yep, there we go.
I
That's
got
what
you.
it is.
Makes sense.
And then you can
Thank
back
you.
off. Suspense.
So I'm gonna donate $150 to y'all and y'all are gonna get
Yeah,
y'all
so-
gonna buy those spots from the city
So,
for $150.
So, the motion needs to be,
restate
restated.
your motion to
Yeah.
Okay.
rent to them for
Okay.
$150.
We're gonna rent the park to them for $150.
Okay.
And that includes those RV spots
In the middle.
in the middle.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll give you the $150.
And then,
Okay.
I second that motion.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Kevin Featherston?
Leon Myers,
Jack
Rob Myers.
Chris Burkett.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank y'all for what y'all are doing.
Sorry we kept you so long.
Who sleeps anymore anyway?
I'm on spring break. I was in an office all week.
Hey,
No, we haven't done.
Yeah, we have.
oh, consent agenda, that's right. We are jumping all over the place.
Yeah,
Back to number 6, consent agenda.
Yeah. Chairman, entertain a motion on the consent agenda item.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda items as written.
Just a penny. It'll bring somebody luck eventually.
Chris, Robin.
Thank you guys.
Kevin Featherston?
Leon Myers,
Jack Connell.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous. Moving on to number 8, old business. Discussion and or action on the City of West Tawakoni packet, Jack McConnell. That has nothing to do with the other one, does it? No, okay. Okay, anyway,
I'll keep this real brief.
thank you.
everybody.
I did, Mayor asked us to put together a welcome packet for the citizens. So when they come, they move here, whether they're working with the permits department or they come in for the water bill, whatever it is, they've got a packet on all the important information. Now, 2 things. I realized that as I was building this, I built it for a digital delivery, not a printed delivery. Well, thank you. So I need to do another version that is print only and then one that is digital. So if someone says, I don't want paper, you can email it to me. The city can email the document and then they can have all the clicks and the links, as opposed to here's a paper document and you can take it home. So, number 1, we need just as a group to make sure that I've got all the information right, that I've got all of the important information included there. I need some headshots, and then I will have to do a round 2, which is digital and non-digital.
Did Shannon leave? She's right out front. I just want, I guess Michael's gone, isn't he? Were they able to give you some input on
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah.
That's what I want to make sure. I don't need her. I don't have a meter. I was gonna ask you.
Basically, you're still working.
Yeah, I mean, it's not final, it's in a really good spot, we've had eyes on it, but I do need additional eyes on it, and then I need to finalize digital versus non-digital.
I would say you got a good start, Sean.
Yeah.
You're in the spot.
Kevin,
Where?
that's great.
Got west on that.
Great.
What? What are you talking about?
And Jamie just said.
What are you talking
We're
about?
not asked to walk. We're just to walk.
Oh,
South and east or whatever.
I see a lot of, I see a lot of businesses around here that claim that the lake is the catfish capital of Texas when it is not. This lake is not, the city is. That's what it's good, so everybody gets confused.
I have to say, last week when me and Amanda went to school in Waco, everybody said, "Where are you from?" West Hawk. Where? I had a judge that was sitting next to me. He's like, "Where is that at?" I said, "Have you heard of the catfish capital?" Yeah, Lake Tawakoni. I said, "That's where we're from."
It's just kind of funny, you know, I mean, it's been around for 20 years, something like that.
It's totally unrelated, but I would love the answering machine to not say West Tawakoni.
I know, I don't know the way to do this.
So right now, it's how it's
I'm part of the cat.
I've been told forever that's how it's actually.
I wish it was
It is.
sad. I like that a lot better.
I was watching a history show on this very subject the other night on TV.
Okay, so
Caddos.
right now, we don't have any action.
Yeah, no
anything to
action.
take, So
So, well, we can't just move on.
No action.
Well, you got a
Okay,
table.
yeah,
You have a table, so
I
you're
make a
right.
motion, we table 8A, the welcome packet for letting it grow into what it's gonna be. And we'll bring it back whenever we've got more information.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Chris, second, okay.
Kevin Featherston?
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous. 8D, finalized, Facebook resolution and social media policy as approved on February 26, 2024. Never seen it.
Well, that was part of what, it's in this stack.
I didn't see it in the stack, so.
It was part of what we were, I think, asked to bring from our last package,
Yes.
instead of reprinting.
Actually,
But it's all completed with.
actually, I think I just forgot to give y'all that. It was just so you
Oh, that
could
wasn't
see
what
that
you
it was
said
done
then.
with the changes that you requested that you approved. Because you approved the resolution, we were just gonna give you a copy with all the changes showing you that it was actually
Okay.
approved.
All right,
But I forgot to give it to you.
that's all right, that's all right. It's not an action item, so it doesn't require any kind of vote or anything. So we can move on to number 9.
By the way, good job. Facebook
yes.
page is great.
Can I ask a question? Do
Yeah.
we actually vote on what is going to be included on the Facebook page?
That wasn't a.
I don't remember.
The
talking about
resolution had the
specifics. We did talk
policy,
in general.
the disclaimer, the liability waiver. So it had all of it in there.
It didn't have
It
specific
was for
content.
information.
Yeah, it's for information.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that could mean, are we posting something for rancheros?
No, see,
No.
business.
No, you can't do that.
But
City business.
Yeah, no,
That was within the law.
then the city business, city bitty.
What?
Okay, slap happy, I'm not eating today. So like, but you posted on like the Chamber of Commerce for the Easter egg hunt, or who's doing the Easter egg hunt. So you're doing community as it relates to the city.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we do that with the chamber, we just can't do it with businesses. What is this, 9A?
That's kind of second reading.
Yeah.
Everybody read these? Maybe we can go through them real
Those
quick.
are all the
Well,
second
We can-
that's where I was mistaken. That's
I
what you asked us to bring
Yes,
from our old
those are
packet instead of.
all
Yeah.
second
All
readings
second
and
readings,
all
so-
stuff
Well, what I
that's
can do, I
already
can
done.
run through them and then vote on them all at one time. Is that all right with you, council?
Absolutely.
One vote.
Absolutely.
On all.
I'll try to get through this. Discussion and/or action to approve the second reading of ordinance 313-03-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council from the city of West Tawakoni, changing the zoning from residential SF2 to commercial. Zoning on property legally described as property number 26308, A01418 of the Hassel Zachariah tract, 3 acres, 2.0. Physical address is 1052 Highway 276, West Tawakoni, Texas, providing the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing a severability, and providing an effective date. B is discuss and or take action on the second reading of ordinance number 314-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council of the city of West Tawakoni, Texas, replatting the property legally described as property number 112530 of the A0186 Carter Redmond, tract 1 through 5, with a total of acres of 4.846, physical address, Highway 276, Texas, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing an effective date. C is discussion and or action to approve or deny second reading or ordinance number 315-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council of the city of West Tawakoni, replatting the property legally described as property number 101797 of the S3840 Lancaster Park, unrecorded lot, acres 13.568. Physical address is Kingsbridge Road, West Tawakoni, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. This D is discussion and or action to approve or deny the second reading of ordinance number 316-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council of the city of West Tawakoni, replatting the property legally described as property ID number 113676 of the A0186 Carter Redmond edition, tracts 1 through 8, total acres 7.798, which is also in A0102. Physical address 276 West Tawakoni, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Number E, discussion and or action to approve or deny second reading on number 317-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council from the city of West Tawakoni, Texas, changing the zoning from commercial C to single family 3 or SF3 on lots 1 through 16, with the zoning remaining commercial C on the lots 17 through 21. I hope that makes sense for everybody. So basically, we're gonna change it from C, commercial to single family on 1 through 16, but the zoning will remain commercial on lots 17 to 21. Okay, going on, zoning on property legally described as property number 113676 of the A0186 Carter Redmond edition, tracts 1 through 3, total acres 7.798. Again, also in A0102. Physical address is Highway 276, West Tawakoni, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Let me get through the next 3, 4, or 5. Nobody's having much fun here now. Discussion and or action to approve or deny the second reading of the ordinance number 318-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council of the city of West Tawakoni, Texas, replatting the property legally described as ID number 78648. It's the S4931 Shenandoah Station, lot 23, acres is 1.5772. The physical address is 1469 Highway 276 West Tawakoni, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances and providing for severability and providing an effective date. Number G, discussion and or action to approve or deny second reading of ordinance number 319-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the city council of the city of West Tawakoni, replatting the property legally described as property number 39717 of the S2185 Banner Edition, Section 2, Blocks 5, Lot 9 through 12, for a total of 0.8517. The physical address is 1101 Red Oak, West Tawakoni, Texas, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances and providing for the severability of providing an effective date. H is discussion and or action to approve or deny the second reading or ordinance number 320-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Tawakoni conveying a tract of land to the estate of Dolly Ann Barrett, deceased, and conveying a tract of land to the City of West Tawakoni to correct the placement of New Point, a city street on the property legally described as property number 82590, is S5285 of the Vanceville Edition, lots 111 through 114. The total acreage is 0.6989. I don't know what this is, some number 4750543L-R, driver's license, DLS 634-60465. Physical address is 305 Vanceville, West Tawakoni, Texas, providing for a repeal of the conflicting ordinances and providing for severability and providing an effective date. Discussion and or action to approve or deny the second reading of ordinance number 321-3-12-2024, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of West Tawakoni, Texas, for a variance on property legally described as property number, ID number 45891, which is S3269 of the Held Retreat Edition, Retreat, Block 5, Section 5, Block 10, Lot 12 acres, but it's 0.0918 acres. Physical address is 225 Kirk Lane, West Tawakoni, Texas, providing for the repeal and conflicting ordinances, providing for severability and providing an effective date. Where's Shannon?
Shannon, yeah.
I thought we already did that for 22. Was that just the first reading we did for 225?
Was you able to tell what those numbers mean?
That actually is supposed to be in there. That is that property that we conveyed where the city put the road in the wrong place, and so they conveyed us property and we conveyed them property. That's what that is.
And we're good to make one motion to cover.
I'll make a motion
Well, you're gonna
to, are we done discussing?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve item 9A through I, approving all the ordinances, the second reading of all the
I
ordinances.
second that motion. I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell.
Ron Myers.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous. Right. Okay, item number 10. I'm trying to move through this because this is on a later movie. It's one of the latest meetings we've had in a while. That's a long time. Number 10, discussion or action to appoint or remove and confirm signage for American National Bank signature cards. Kim, I have no idea. I think me, you, Kevin, or I don't know who else is on.
Right, yeah, we put Rob, it's.
And we had Rob.
Everybody just got signed.
We just need to,
And
we just need a
all signed.
confirmation.
Right.
Is that right?
We're just,
Oh,
and we're removing Pam from the general fund water sewer.
Right.
okay.
Because she's still with EDC.
Yeah,
I think that's all, that's what we never did, right?
Right.
that's what I'm thinking. It's been a while.
Yeah, so now it's gonna be you, the mayor, Robin, and myself.
Yes.
It'll be the signers.
Chairman, entertain a motion.
Someone else wanna make it?
I make a motion that we approve Kim, Kevin, the mayor, and Robin as the signers for the banking account.
A second.
Kevin Featherston,
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell.
Ron Myers.
we're removing Pam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So we
And
got.
we're moving Pam.
Oh, that's right.
So you need to,
Jack, yeah, I seconded.
She seconds that one, so Kevin Featherston.
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell.
Ron Myers.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous. Moving on to number 11. Accept or deny resignation of David Radke and Adriana Thomas from the Keep West Walking.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Dave Radke and Adriana Thomas from Keep West Walking Beautiful Board.
Could we ask?
Yeah, could we ask?
West Walking Beautiful, I thought I remember seeing David here earlier, but maybe I'm wrong.
Mary?
Can we?
Did they turn in resignation? Do we know why they left us?
Yes, you have the resignation.
I have it, I'm sorry I didn't make copies.
Just in general?
Just, Adriana stated that she was, at this time in her life, moving on.
Is that Addie?
No.
Adriana.
Oh, okay.
She bought our house on Harrelson. They have their own business and she's really swamped with this time of year, their business.
Oh, cool.
So.
And David just said he just.
Okay.
And Dave had some medical issues too. So.
Dave. Robin made the first motion, looking for a second.
I second.
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell.
Chris Burkett.
All right, moving on, number 12, discussion or action to approve or deny the EDC budget amendment. I didn't see anything on that.
Okay.
You got it?
Basically what we are asking is that, the EDC found some other projects they would like to do. They would like to take $15,000 from our bank account, which we more than can cover our budget for this year and have surplus. And they'd like to take from that surplus $15,000, put it on our project budget, as a carryover line.
Are they normal size lots or anything like that? I'm not gonna ask you to divulge them.
They have some projects that they want to do. One of the things they want to do is the playground. They found a company that will do a cover for us for the playground equipment, and that's one of the things they'd like to do. And a couple other projects they'd like to do, and we would like to move that surplus over to that.
I saw a part of an agenda. Is that what it is?
Since the playground was brought up, the covers over the playground, I think one of the events that we let the park go for free for a fishing tournament. And I think it was a tournament that Mikey Klein does. I think we need, as a council or city, we need to follow up with him because from my understanding, there was money raised for that. And I can't remember the gentleman's name. He even came and told us about it, that the guy was going to do it.
That would be Mike Gibbs,
There you go.
would be a
So
dogs.
we may need to follow up with him before other monies get spent on something that's gonna be done. I don't know what's going
I would
on.
most definitely make sure that makes a full circle, because if there's money already supposed to be there
Right,
for it.
that's
Yeah,
what,
we
that's
would
what I
want to
was,
use that. If you have that, we would definitely want to use it towards that project.
yeah, and that's what I was getting at. I wanna make sure that somebody's not in the plans. I don't know if this guy's busy that does the docks or whatever. I think that's who was gonna do that work. So,
I think we would still ask that we can get those funds reallocated due to the
Yes,
fact
because you
that
have other
doing,
projects.
the Fat Cats and one of the other projects has already taken up pretty much our budget for the year that we had established.
yeah,
So being able to
No,
really allocate
and
that
the
would
reason why I
help
was
for other
bringing
ones.
that up is because that was last year. I think we need to follow up with that. So so the next question was gonna be, if that was the case, that those covers are gonna be done, then, you
We
know,
could use the money on another project.
but what would that other project be? I think it's important that we all discuss.
Well, right now, we don't have anything like it's hard set. It's just that we don't have any other funds that available for anybody to come in. Should
Yeah,
another
project.
business want to come in and do any kind of incentives or anything, we have nothing allocated for that. There's no more in the budget.
Right, so that's the reason we want to move.
And how much was in that budget line already?
20,000, I believe.
You'd still have one option, and that'd be, of course, I'm sure she can confirm this, tax abatement.
I'm sorry?
Tax abatement.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be an
we know
incentive,
Okay.
but as far as
Incentive.
projects, yeah.
And there may be one that we're looking at right now that may ask for some of that.
Right.
But we're talking about if another business comes to us right now, we would like to be able to have the money that we could do a facade grant or something like that.
So you're not earmarking, I guess the proposed is, you said
15,000 from our,
And the only
added
reason it
to
was
our-
so much was because of the funds that we were gonna do for the cover.
well, you got money left over from the actual budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have enough to cover our budget in our bank account now without any income coming in, to tell you the
Right.
truth.
Right.
But what we carried over was a certain amount that we put onto our budget. What we'd like to do is bring 15,000 into that carryover slot, and then as expenses, use it on projects.
Oh, okay. I just figured that the normal course would be just identify it, and then if something comes up, then we do the amendment, move the money. If
Well,
nothing
the
comes
reason
up.
we had asked was because of the project that we had already voted on for the playground. Now I understand now there's an issue with whether there's other funds available for that, but that's the reason that it was put on the agenda tonight, was because I wasn't aware of the other.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think about it until she said it, and I feel ashamed because we were all involved, I think, somewhat. I mean, he came in here and did a whole presentation to the council. So, I mean, as soon as she said it, I don't know, it just a light bulb went off. I'm like, wait a minute, somebody was already supposed to be doing that. So, I mean, I would ask as the council, since that was what was brought up for some of this money to be used for, if we could table this until we find out from that fishing tournament and from Mike.
So it would be Mikey Klein that did the tournament, and Mike Gibbs is who he was speaking with to have it built.
I mean, until we can find out from them if that's in the works to do the covers, and then we can always bring this back once we find out if the covers are going to be being done by someone else. I mean,
The other project that you have, is there some that's pending that you need this money immediately though?
I have
But we
one
haven't-
thing in the works that I
Yeah, we
can't
have a
discuss
couple
right
of
now.
things in the works that we can't really.
So how much of it was gonna be earmarked for the park?
Up to 8,000.
So if we were to say 7,000 to move over.
Well, my question is this: if there's something else in the works, what prevents us from putting it on the agenda to have
Yeah,
a meeting and approve it?
because what I'm hearing is we want to move money from an actual line item to a miscellaneous. Or
No.
There's
That's
no
not what
line
I'm
item.
saying.
We're not.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, you know how when we do the budget and we put over the carryover amount for our incomes, we want to put it there and then put it on our line item projects.
Right. It's not coming from another line item.
Yeah.
It's
You
just
don't
coming
own it.
from reserves in the bank account.
But it's gonna put, what line item is it gonna go in?
Under the
Budget,
project.
projects.
Okay.
Will be that line item.
Okay.
So it shouldn't make any difference to us. It's their money. If they need to get it over there where they can use it, let them use it.
Well, we talked about fixing that mess around the playground equipment too,
That's part of
What-
it.
That's part of it.
where the overlay they put down
So-
and they didn't use the
So
right-
if it does go through the company, if it turns out that either that falls through or whatever, the company that I have spoke with actually will provide that within the quote that I received.
To keep the weeds out of it.
They'll do the
They
bedding
just
and
have double
everything.
layer.
Good luck.
And even moving the money, if you don't spend it, you don't spend it.
I put
That's
so
right.
much that
That's
stuff
exactly
down,
Still there?
flower beds and whatever, and it just don't work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, well, these are, it's actually through Adventure Playgrounds out of Houston. So, I mean, that's,
that stuff that went down there was stuff that I
We
think.
bought it from the
Yeah, I mean,
manufacturer.
Leon
Yeah.
found it, and I mean, those guys put it down and they staked it down and all that stuff, but it
The
just,
weeds just came
I'm
off.
telling you,
They don't know Texas weeds the way we know Texas weeds.
I've done flower beds myself, I don't know how many times with all this underlayment stuff, and I ain't never.
I never had luck with these.
Even-
We never.
I can tell you just
Okay,
from
so
our
what-
research, when we were working on playground things through the department, we were researching and we got money for, the different things we did there, that those covers are not cheap. They are very
and it
expensive.
does actually come with, it's a
Yeah.
quick release system. That way during,
Yeah.
if there's like heavy snowfall or ice, that it can just quickly be taken
Yeah.
down and the material be put away. It does, for the first 3 years, for the first 5 years, it's up to warranty for even just fading. So we had discussed having the poles, the metal poles being done in the red, and then the canopy doing the dark blue for the catfish to go with the rest of the theme of the city.
So you guys already got a quote on the covers and, I guess there was some underlayment or something?
It goes all into it, yes. And they actually will come out and do the installation themselves for cheaper. We could have our guys, it's basically just setting 4 poles level. You can either do it on the top of the ground or in the ground.
Did, the company we bought all that from, is it?
I've got it, but I cut it off.
I just wonder what the maintenance leaves. I wouldn't think it would, but I'm just throwing it out there.
And these, well,
Just say it didn't work.
it just never was maintained.
Yeah.
It also comes with a, for the material, it would be a 5-year warranty for the poles and all the other workings of it is a 10-year warranty.
I'm sure y'all are doing your homework. I'll just add this because we did what we thought was a very strong setup on the other side of the lake, and with the wind ripped it up in no time.
Right, this does have actually up to tornado speed winds, whatever you call it, the tinsel on it.
I think with all the warranties and all that stuff, we definitely want to let them install it.
Right.
I don't think, you probably wouldn't get the warranties.
So,
just basically for the canopy, you would only.
you guys have to get approval to spend a certain amount, correct?
Well, if it's under 10,000, we don't have to get
Right.
approval.
So-
And this project wouldn't be, but we need to have that money in the line
Yes,
to do
item.
the fund.
And that's
All
why
they're
we're
doing is
asking.
moving money around. If they choose to spend a large portion, 10,000, it still has to come back to us.
Correct.
I make a motion, we approve the.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, we're still on number 12. Chair, entertain a motion. You made a motion?
He made the motion, I
Chris
seconded
did.
it.
Okay, Chris and Leon.
I'm gonna say in favor as long as it goes towards
Yes.
the playground.
Yeah, I think
I mean, that don't
Okay.
matter. It don't work like that. But
Okay.
anyway.
Leon Meyer.
Jack O'Connell.
Robin Murray.
Chris Burkett.
Is-
Separately from this, since Mike Klein's buddy, this is almost a year ago, like, who's responsible for calling Mikey Klein and with the buddy? Because it sounds like, that sounds like
That's not-
it's something we need to follow up on.
The city somewhere from the city.
I think I have numbers for both parties, so I'll call them.
Thank
That
you.
might be something.
Thank
What
you.
was that?
You want to talk to me.
Shannon said she has both their numbers, she'll call them.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
did we go on? We voted on 12, yeah. Moving on to 13, guys, we're almost finished. I see the end of the line. I apologize, I've been reading as fast as I can.
I only got 2 check marks on this last page, so.
Well, that's not true. I think we're out of it.
Oh, wait,
For
this one.
19.
Okay, number 13 is discuss interaction to approve or deny the EDC granting money to the Tawakoni Development Fire Department. This is where the 20,000 is at, right?
Correct.
So I think I understood you, that anything 10,000 under, you didn't have to get it, but for 20,000 and over, it has to be,
10,000 and over has to go through approval from the council.
we,
Because of the new EDC, the old EDC didn't, but the new
Correct.
one does. So in order for technically that to go through, we need to vote on it.
but we haven't, I don't know what you mean by doing old EDC.
Because we have our new articles of incorporations that we were just done, what was it, in May?
Oh, okay, I remember that, I remember that.
Resubmitted to
Okay.
the state.
Yeah.
That was one of the things.
We are actually legally the EDC now.
So I want to ask again, just to confirm, you guys did your homework. There was nothing wrong with what was done, how it was allocated.
Okay, so I spoke with Carlton Schwab, just as Alicia Lee has, and I also spoke with Russell Gallahan from the Secretary of State. Carlton Schwab is, yes, TEDC's CEO. He still has to get approval from anything he does from his board, the Texas Economic Development Board. I have the emails and it is provided in the council packet, it is provided in the minutes from our last meeting. My voice is getting very dry, so I'll try to hurry. Basically what he said is, in his opinion, it wasn't a legal transaction through 501 through 505. However, after getting him where we found that it was, his statement was, your opinion, my opinion, it's your money, you do what you want. That's when I called Russell Gallahan from the Secretary of State, because that to me was just a very no answer. So I called them, he returned my call the next day, and his statement was basically, and I don't have this on paper, so I'm sorry, I can probably call him again and get him to email me something. But his again was, if the board found that there was a reason for future businesses or future low-income housing, then it would be allowed, that there's nothing wrong, that there's strictly no laws against or prohibiting the EDC from granting this grant to the fire department. There is no laws even saying that we couldn't do anything with the money. There are only guidelines for what they want the money spent on.
Let's take that all out of the picture here.
Okay.
Take all of it out.
Yes.
The EDC is funded by what?
The sales tax.
Okay, and how much sales tax does the fire department bring in?
But that's not the
No.
question.
That is not the criteria.
That has nothing to do with it. Okay, and in our articles of incorporation, I understand.
And doing something
They-
right.
It is allowed indirect, okay? The way that they bring in indirect business is by being able to have that infrastructure there to fight fires faster, to be able to respond to emergencies faster. That is an indirect way of bringing in future business and low-income housing.
Plus the fact that we gave money to the police department. They don't get sales tax either.
Did you guys discuss this with our attorneys?
I
Yes.
have, and
Prior
I've also
to-
asked outside attorneys.
Prior
And I've
to-
also got, I'm sorry, in our articles of incorporation, to go with that 5013 thing that Alicia is throwing out there that we are not allowed to do. Our articles of incorporation that was approved by our attorneys, our city attorneys,
And by the
also by
city
the,
council.
and also by the Secretary of State, because they have to approve them too, right? It has to be stamped for approval. The first section A states that we are allowed, because of the tax code, and that we are a 501c3, sorry, I can't get all this out, my mouth is so dry, that we are allowed to provide grants. Actually, let me get it out for you and I can read it.
While you're looking for that,
You're
what I
welcome.
understand from the meeting, I guess maybe y'all last meeting or something, y'all were, I think Chris and Leon was here. Was that the last meeting?
No, that was a meeting
Meeting
before
before
that.
that. Okay, so Chris was asked, or not Chris, Leon was asking for the $20,000. And y'all went through that. And then afterwards, it came up to where it was for radios, right?
For radio.
It's for radio.
Radio equipment.
You told that committee that AMR has no
It did
plans
not.
to
No,
go do
it
this.
did
That's what
not.
he said.
No, if you read
Yes,
it, you go to that recording.
AMR is not currently set.
And I'm speaking on this as a guy that I have no respect for.
Can I
okay?
ask, because to be honest.
That is
right
not
now,
what he said. He did
can I-
not.
Can I ask real quick, please, guys?
Yes.
Because to be honest, for myself, this is sort of embarrassing,
Yes, it is.
okay? Can I ask you your advisement on this as the city attorney?
Yeah, so I in fact, the question was posed to Jim originally, but I reviewed it as well. I agree with the summary that Jim has provided. I disagreed with, and what I think happened is with Carlton, he made a knee-jerk response, a quick response, and he deals more with type A EDCs, and they're not allowed to do the same things that type Bs are. And so then when pressed on the actual question, says, well, look, here's actually what the code says, this is what we're relying on. He, rather than just saying, well, I was wrong, because he didn't want to eat crow, he walked back and said, oh, well, you're right, there's not really a law that says, and kind of waffled on them. So that's why I think they kind of went and started talking to other people. But ultimately, 505, there's, like you've got Jim's emails here too,
Yes.
but 505.155, and I actually think under 0.158 also it works, which is, it provides for any other related services, which encompasses like public parks. I mean, the EDC can make grants for things like if they could have a benefit to water and sewer services too. And then in the same line is, and other potential services. They have a lot of wide latitude under that section to make those kinds of grants. And this particular one, what like Jim would referenced was for if you can find any like indirect connection to public safety facilities, a benefit, if you can tie it to saying, listen, we think that the call times are gonna be improved, and that call time improvement means that, you're right, insurance rates will drop, because, or, we can bring in more businesses, we can bring in more, that's
And
what
I,
I'm saying.
okay, I get it, and
I don't think
so,
anybody's denying that.
so I wanna say that, so after this happened, my emails, messenger, text messages blew up. Look, guys, on the real, the whole issue at hand here is what the citizens or the public, right, the taxpayers, which is all of us, if we all sit back and we look at it from a different eye, that we weren't handling this stuff, there's, in everybody else's eyes, what I'm getting from everybody is, hey, that's a conflict of interest. It could be viewed that. If we were all sitting here being honest with each other.
How is it a conflict of
How
interest?
is it conflict of interest?
I'm sorry, can I
It
just
can
get
only
back
be
to where
a
I
conflict.
have
Let me
that
finish.
next one?
Okay, go ahead.
I abstained from voting. It is no conflict.
I understand where he's saying
I was
because they're all
trying
sitting
to, I
on
was trying to
council.
explain it, but again, it's so embarrassing that a person can't even speak without there being emotions. I don't think I had any emotion when I was saying, I was speaking from what the citizens have came to me with, but then,
How many
I mean-
citizens? 4, 5, the ones
I can't
on.
tell you.
I
unless-
guess about 50.
I can't tell you, but I was just trying to explain. I didn't think I was showing any emotion, any biasness, nothing, guys.
But it goes against the law. If it's the law, it's the law. If it's against the law, it's
That's
against the
exactly
law.
how it's
Our
trying.
articles of incorporation state right here
Does
on.
anybody
Let
understand
him,
what I
can
was
he
saying?
take it, to he say what he's gonna say?
Chris,
Sure,
let me
because
ask
I
you,
was
Chris,
speaking first.
directly across from me. You're the one in the firing seat on this,
Yep.
right?
I'm the one in the fire seat, ask me.
And what I was trying to say just now, were you offended? Because apparently others were either offended or emotionally excited in what I was saying. I was just trying to explain what I'm getting from the citizens and from people. I'm getting influxed on Messenger, right? That's what everybody's seeing. I was trying to say all that to say what was happening, and the reason why I was embarrassed a while ago what was going on is because that's what's going on. Look, people are gonna have their opinions, and the opinion is it's a conflict of interest. That's what I've been getting from everybody that's contacted me, and it's a conflict of interest. Fine. I wanted to bring that up so we could all think about that. But I didn't get to finish what I was trying to say because
And I apologize.
you had something that you wanted to say. All I'm asking, guys, I'm not trying to be defensive here. I'm just saying, let's look at it from the citizens' eyes. That's what they're seeing it as, a conflict of interest. The reason why is because we had 2 council members that went to another entity. That's the reason why they're looking at it. We just all have to do a better job and approach things differently.
And that's what
it.
makes this world go
Right.
around is everybody's opinion.
Yeah,
And
and-
everybody
and
else.
He wasn't able to speak his
But
because he got.
That's right.
Well, it's
I
really,
said
I'm not
that.
speaking my opinion. I'm trying to bring the opinions that I've gotten
Yeah,
influenced
Lester,
with
yeah.
to everybody so we can all
Yes.
learn from it and we can all do better. That's all we gotta do. We can
And I
have
will,
we can have
I
a different
accepted and
approach,
welcomed
right?
them in our
So
last
let's-
meeting. I
So
even
let's
told
look at it
them.
like this. So if we had a different approach, Chris and Leon, y'all are both affiliated with the fire department. What happens if we would have just let somebody else at the fire department go to the EDC? Then
Exactly.
maybe then we could have had a different result. I don't know. We just all have to start thinking differently. And I wanted to bring that all up.
I agree.
I was very
100% with you
embarrassed
on
about
that.
how that was going on, and if I felt like that I was elevated or whatever, I apologize. I was not trying to be elevated. Sometimes I get going when I start talking. We all know that. But guys, we just need to learn from what's going on. We need to listen to our citizens. Okay?
But we need to explain to these people that are trying to cause problems. And wait a minute, let me finish.
I
These
understand what you're
people
saying.
that come up with all these ideas and part of them are lies, and we all know it, we don't take the time to explain to them calmly and nicely that this is a good thing for the city. It seems like we just keep letting all this go on.
You're never gonna stop it. There's never gonna be
No.
100% in favor of anything anybody does.
I see what you're saying.
If we try to control perception.
I see what
Yes.
you're saying.
And
It's
that's why at
always,
the
that's
last
our
meeting, I
job.
welcomed their opinions.
But that's not
And
always
I
gonna
made
happen.
sure that they
No, I
knew that we
know. I
would
just wanted to
accept
bring
that.
that up because I have been, I mean, I've got people that's contacted, how they got my email. I have emails that I have no clue how people got my email, which messenger, right, you can
So
get it.
did I.
But I don't know, there's people that reached out to me, I've never met, never seen their names, nothing, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Me too.
So
Can I
anyway,
make a comment? I'm sorry.
You're after
You finish. I think what we are forgetting here is that there is a human element to this. This money is going towards the safety and welfare and response time to the people of this town. And if people view it as a conflict of interest, that's their opinion. They have the right to it.
Right.
However, this is not something that was done as a conspiracy. There's no shady things going on here. The human element is that this money is going to help save lives. Because I can tell you from personal experience, we had a family member that died from a stroke eventually, who the response time from the EMTs when they came and got her saved her life long enough for us to say goodbye to her. And in a second's count, in a stroke, a heart attack, and many other medical conditions.
I agree.
So we've all got to remember that money is money well spent if it saves one life in this town.
I don't disagree with you. I just wanted to bring up what was coming to me and so if we would all think about it, is we got two council members that went to another board in the city asking for money. That's where the conflict of interest came into play. And that's
One
like
of
all the
big-
messages and contact that I was getting, that's what people, what are y'all doing? Y'all got council members? I'm like, oh.
One of the big things that was a conflict that nobody thought of is there was no financial information asked. So it would make great sense to say proof would be the only way.
We did,
Show proof.
we did have a receipt for the radio.
Well, there was a receipt for the
What was
radio.
that, what am I misunderstanding whenever you said that, cause I could have sworn at the beginning of the, somewhere, you said something about, you got a grant, or you asked for money, and then you said, later you said you was getting a grant for the radios.
That's what this was a grant for the radios.
That's
We
what
hope
got.
to be able to
We
go
gave
out and
them
find
a
an additional grant to cover the major costs.
But I thought you said that you think they had it covered because you had a grant coming in for it, not the EDC grant.
No.
No, the radio.
We have to go out to
Everything.
find a grant to cover the rest of it. This is just 20% of what it's gonna cost to outfit this department with these radios.
Okay.
This is to get us started now
This is for the
so that we're
handhelds.
not behind.
But in the same, didn't you say that AMR is not getting his radios?
AMR is not jumping to this
And that's what he
project yet.
said in the
Well,
meeting.
who are you dispatched by?
Currently, it's AMR,
Well,
but the
why
plan
do you
is
need
to
radios?
move over to
Huh?
Hunt County. With Hunt County's new dispatch, the
Being
plan is we hope to be able to move over to that. On top of the fact that these radios will cover our area. What we currently have
No, I understand.
does not.
I understand. I agree with you.
And
wholeheartedly.
we would be able to talk to the sheriff's department.
Well, what does
Correct.
an ambulance need to talk to sheriff?
Ambulance don't, but we do. Half
We
of
get-
our
we get
calls.
calls.
Okay, but I mean,
We get calls all the time where law enforcement has requested us to come.
yeah,
Yeah, and the police department's experience.
that happens everybody.
And they
What was
have
your
a
question?
stage.
Well,
So
that's
like,
what we
I'm
should
just
be able to talk
breaking
about.
down
Yeah,
the language that's being used. So for the AMR is not there yet. You are buying equipment in anticipation. And you said something about with hopes. What is the with?
There are
hopes?
discussions that the county will be taking over the fire dispatch. AMR will still dispatch medical, county. That is all in discussion. That none of that is set forth, but that is the route that all fire departments are trying to push towards because of the elapsed time on fires. Currently, you call 911, it goes to the sheriff's department, then it goes over there. Fires, we gotta get better response time.
Do they have a
When
time?
you call 911, the
So-
first thing they ask you, what's this for? Is it fire, medical, or whatever?
And then
And
they
then
patch
that's
it
how they
through.
know to move it to AMR, or is it something that the sheriff's department only needs to be involved?
The reason the fire department moves so quickly on this, just like every other fire department in Hunt County, one, to be able to purchase the radios at the price that they're offering, to get us in on the ground level. That's why we went for 20,000 to get us the bare minimum, so that as these changes start taking, we have what we need. Two, what we currently have, you can't sit in this building and hear anything. These new radios will do that. We miss a lot because we don't have the radios that we need. Hunt County's moving in the right direction. The anticipation that they will pull over fire And then sooner or later, hopefully, if AMR is who we continue to go with as a county, they will move. There's discussions that could go. a
Can,
different
can I
way.
ask this? You've said anticipation a few times, so what happened, there's nothing set in stone. So what happens if this anticipation doesn't come to fruition?
Then we still have a radio system that we can deal with. If we're inside of a building, we can still talk. We can still hear. We can still communicate with the schools, the fire.
But it'll communicate with, I guess it would be AMR at that point?
We can still communicate with AMR with it, a better communication. Just because they're not changing their system, we have a better system to communicate with them.
So there was something said about, there wasn't, I mean, the cost of the radios, Leon confirmed the cost of radios was shared, but you mentioned that there wasn't any financial information given or whatever. Maybe that was something we could have done.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that's going around the city is they didn't ask us for our
So,
financial information.
Could I
His
ask?
books are open though. You can walk in and ask to look
So
at his books.
could I ask this as a council, could we get that information brought forth so we could let
What information are you asking for?
the financials, I guess, the
What
income
kind
and
of-
spending?
I think the
That's what I'm saying. That's what I
was
just
that
said.
the same day that they came and asked for the 20,000 grant, there was, the one day out of the whole freaking entire, since Facebook has began, I did not get on Facebook because it would have been a question I would have asked, but I did not see that that's when they received the 120,000 for the concrete to do
Right.
that. And I think that was a lot of the problem. And then also, like you said, Kevin, it came from Chris. Had it been just one of the firefighters up there asking, I don't think it would have been such a big stink. Had it been any other, heck, if East Tawakoni would have come and asked us, I don't even think it would have been that big of a stink. I think it was only because of who it came from that caused the major issue. And I'm saying that as a person that's looking from the outside in. I've had my husband on my butt about it, and after I explained to him, he knows how I feel about Chris. That is besides the point when I step up there to make
Well, this has
decisions for
nothing,
the
this
city.
has
So-
nothing to do with Chris or
It
anything.
does because
But-
that's who they have made the
No, I'm
problem
saying
about
for me,
online.
And what I was trying to say was, what if we just get the financials? And when you say what financials, I mean, we all see financials every month.
My financials are
So-
online. My financials are sent over here every year as requested. We've talked about why is there not an ordinance if we're going to request those? My financials are there.
Why don't you produce?
So are they?
They're
we
there.
talked about
Somebody
that
log
later
on
in
there
the
and
month?
do
They can step and look.
You don't even know.
Well, no,
anything
that's what
about
I'm
it.
asking.
Yes,
is
I
if-
do.
is-
Yes, I look.
is in order to, this was all brought up and we're all this other conversation, but I'm asking for us to be a city that we're being transparent, we're whatever. Bring those financials to the
You
citizens.
need
so they'll see it.
specification of what financials you're looking at. We went
Specifics.
through $140 this last month. What kind of financials do you want? My budget, my monthly
It's been
shows.
sent to you,
every
black and
month.
white. You
It
got it.
shows.
All right, here's the deal.
Does not.
It
This
does.
is, we're far afield. We're far afield. The actual agenda item is whether or not we're approving, the council wants to approve the EDC's grant.
I make a motion to approve the EDC's grant.
I'll second it.
Hang on, what, so what, 13? Leon.
With
Okay.
being fire department personnel, can they be in the voting?
Thank you.
They don't have any, there's,
So not-
they're not-
Well, I'm asking to make sure that we're legal in that.
We are
Because I know-
legal because
because-
we don't benefit
I
from
only
it.
ask because I know you've abstained before from stuff.
And that's why it's not a conflict. We don't personally get any gains from it.
I know that, I know.
That's where the word conflict comes from.
But
If you don't personally gain, there is no conflict.
But I agree with what you're saying, but what happens if you take the truck to
I only
Billy,
asked you.
you
a
fill
question.
it up,
and I
And you
know,
get a
the deal
receipt
is there
for
is no
but
public,
where does it go from there?
they're
I mean,
not receiving any income.
It's not all accounted for.
If they were asking
Every
for.
penny-
Every penny's accounted for.
So you got
Yeah.
receipts there.
Every penny we spend, there is a
Okay.
receipt.
Guys, come on, please. All I asked was a question.
I know what I'm not gonna be doing.
I asked for a question of the attorney and then it went all other angles. I mean, Leon, I think jumped in first and something else happened over here. All I
Okay, we
just
have a
was-
motion, we
I
have a
asked you a
second.
question.
Yeah, and so no.
And it has nothing to do with 501c, none of that. I just asked, are we legal with
Yeah.
members being, that's all I was asking.
Yes.
Why everything keeps getting some crossways?
Well, because every time we come to one of these meetings, it's everybody against the fire department.
Well,
Everybody against Chris.
how many
All
phone
right,
calls?
guys, I mean, there's been a motion and a second. We got to call for a vote.
I'm just gonna abstain.
Leon Meyer.
13? We've already had a first and a second.
But you
All
need
in
a
favor?
You need to let us know.
Leon Myers.
Robin Myers.
Before I vote, I'm gonna say this. I do think, from what I see on Facebook, it is a for or against Chris thing. I have been observing for a very long time. With that said, Chris, I would recommend that you just bring the books up and not have a fight about it. With that said, I am voting for the grant to the fire department.
Thank you.
So it's
Robin
Chris
Myers.
Yeah,
Robin Myers.
it is unanimous. Moving on.
I
think, yeah, I got you abstaining, and not unanimous, sorry about that.
Conversation.
Number 14, discuss interaction to approve or deny the Tawakoni Local Fire Department. And this is where Kevin's coming in at. I don't think y'all don't. Are you, Robin, Leon, Jack, do y'all get a bunch of phone calls from citizens?
No. This motion here is very vague. There's nothing in our packet that tells what it's about or what it is.
We talking about?
This number 14.
What is this?
The status. You know, it's very vague, doesn't say anything what that's about or anything, so I make a motion that we take no action on that item.
Okay.
I'll second.
Hang on, Leon, okay. Number 15,
Your votes.
I'm sorry, we didn't need to vote. Kevin's up.
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Myers.
Jack O'Connell.
Robin Myers.
Chris Burkett.
Okay, it is unanimous. Same thing with EDC status. I'm gonna go back to this page right here. And I asked her earlier, and I don't remember if I got the right answer. Where was the, I showed it. It was that last sentence that I was pointing to.
Yeah,
What is that? I don't know.
Okay, well, there's two things here. I can talk to you about that, but that's not the status of the EDC. We don't have, doesn't relate to that.
Well, with the EDC, and I could have done something a long time ago, but I'm choosing not to, even though somebody else has made a snide remark or whatever. That stuff doesn't faze me. I've dealt with billionaires over stuff. I'm not going to stoop to the level of a peasant. That being said, it doesn't matter.
It does matter. I make a motion that we take no action on number 15 since it doesn't make any sense.
I'll second.
Again, I'm gonna abstain for the same reason.
Leon Myers.
I will vote, to take no action. I would say that we probably need to get better as a group to put more detail on these when we come up.
Robin Myers.
Chris Burkett.
Who's you made the motion?
I made the motion.
Who seconded it?
Robin.
Robin did. Okay. Hang on. Okay, and now he abstained. Is that right, Kevin? Okay, so you,
Before.
Jack,
I'm sorry.
this is, let me just recap it
Oh,
real
yes,
because we're getting off here and
Yeah,
there.
sorry, four.
Okay, Robin, Chris, approved. Okay, we got 4 FARs and 1 abstain. This is in regards to number 15. Number 16, discuss and or take action to approve or deny resolution appointing, is it Lee or Leah?
It's Lee.
Lee.
Like Bruce Lee, but not in any karate skill.
On the, as far as, excuse me, for appointing Lee Thompson as the City of West Tawakoni attorney.
I'll make a motion, we appoint her.
Chris.
I'll second it. Go ahead. Kevin got it.
Kevin, all in favor?
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Myers.
Jack O'Connell.
Robin Myers.
Chris Burkett.
Okay, moving
Make a
on.
motion to adjourn.
We're there?
That's where we're at.
Oh, yeah, okay, we did that 17th first. Okay.
I did.
We already did all the
No, we
citizens
did.
Yeah.
input.
We did.
That was the only one that was-
We did the,
That
this
way
one,
they- that way they didn't have to go home.
Yeah.
Second that, adjourn.
Right, we didn't have to wait.
Leon Meyer.
Vote on the, thank you. Jeff,
What, to what?
adjourn.
Yeah.
Vote on it.
Let's get out of here.
It's, you know, it's me, Chris, and-
We're good?
Yeah. Good.